Welcome back to Show Me What I've Been Missing, your pop culture podcast that says, hey, remember that thing? I'm one of your hosts, Elizabeth Stanton, and with me is my other host.
A very disappointed Chris Mack.
Oh, and we are here. We made it. We have been watching Sex and the City from start to finish. I've seen it too many times. Chris has now finally seen it one whole time the way through. Every episode, start to finish. He's there. How do you feel?
Let down.
Oh, no.
It's just okay. Look. Okay, now let me.
You can say some of it now. And we'll get into the details as we go through.
I'm not going to say anything about the show until we get into it. But I want to know, as a person who has seen this show before, and as a person who is a fan of this show, and was a fan in its original airing.
Yeah.
And now on the rewatch now, I just want to know, did the ending give it justice to the entire series? Because it just didn't feel good.
To the entire series, I don't know. Because I don't think it thought, in a way, what happens in the finale for each character sort of looks back on their overall journey, I suppose. But yes. At the same time, those journeys, I don't think started proper till like season 3, because I think the first 2 seasons were so episodic in a way, and the characters didn't really find themselves until season 3. So it's, in a way, there's not much to go back to, like to the very beginning. And I feel like overall I'm relatively satisfied, or I'll say, when I first watched it, overall satisfied with like the endings. Now, not so sure on rewatch and evaluation.
Okay. Because I'm gonna tell you this. This is my only opinion of this final. Is there's really only 2 stories that made sense: Charlotte's and Samantha's. Those are the only 2 that actually wrapped up and stay congruent with like the growth of the characters and like the trajectory that they've been putting these characters on, at least for the past like 2 or 3 seasons. You know what I mean? Specifically with Samantha, like the last 2 seasons, her ending makes sense. Charlotte's ending, she's been this way since day one, so like makes sense. But Miranda and Carrie's ending, it just seems just thrown together. It was like it felt like the writers were, whoever was writing the show was just like, hey, we're done with this, like we're ready to move on, like we're ready to move on to something else. It didn't feel real.
Miranda's, I think I get what they're trying to say with her ending.
Here's the thing, I like the ending. It just okay, so here's the thing, the only thing about Miranda's ending that makes it not legit to me, it was rushed. Because if you go 100%. Like 2 or 3 episodes ago, there was no even like a foreshadowing that she would end up being this person. So they just like, it's like they threw it in. It's like, all right, we need you to like this character because we're ending the show, so we're just gonna throw this in, even though this makes 0 sense to the journey of this character.
I 100% agree. 100% agree. I was about to say the same thing. I was like, I think Miranda's makes sense, but I think some of the groundwork is there, like you were saying, but it just feels very rushed to get to the point they make.
Like if anything, this episode, I think what would have made it feel more authentic as an ending is if it was like an hour long, because then they could have build up to, and they could have added more story into it. But like, with it only being like 5 more minutes extra than like a usual episode, it's like it didn't really wrap it up with a bow. It was just like, it's like if somebody was like, oh shit, I bought my Christmas present last minute, I'm wrapping them in newspaper. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not really thought out.
And one of the funnier things too, I was thinking is, again, as they play these all the time on cable, this episode and the last one are run together, usually as one episode. That's kind of how much they cut down. In a way to make it all fit and make sense, which is,
well, that's even if you eat, but that to me, that's what I'm saying too. Before I say this, Like and subscribe, people. If you're already here, you've been watching long enough, go ahead and like that, hit that like button, hit that notification button so you can go ahead and know when the new episodes are dropping. Here's the thing too, because even if you were I know we're supposed to look at 1 and 2 as one solid episode, but even then you still need an extra 30 minutes to really wrap this story up. So like, if anything, the last 2 episodes should have been like one long episode, and then add like another maybe a 30-minute one to cap it off as a final, because it just none of this it was just seemed rushed. I mean, and to make it like, you know what I mean, like maybe if you had even made this episode like 45 minutes, it probably would have rounded
was
out.
40. It was 43 minutes.
Yeah, still it wasn't. It should have been longer. It just seemed so rushed, and I know that you had to rush it. Like, if anything, to make this episode make sense and stuff like that, or you probably could have like at least had like maybe, you know, Samantha and Charlotte's ending in the last episode, and then wrapped up the rest in this second episode to like kind of give it some kind of real actual like pacing.
Because I realized in the last episode, Miranda really doesn't do anything.
Right. That's why her transformation just comes out of nowhere. You're like, what? Where did? What?
Yeah.
When did she figure this? What? It's a lot.
Well, for the last time for this series, who do you want to start with?
Let's start with Miranda, because there's her. Okay, let's get into it.
So, Miranda is actually the first time we see her. She is having, you know, Steve's mom is over. The late great Anne Mira one last time. Love her. But she's very confused and disoriented. She's calling Brady, you know, the baby, little Stevie. And Steve asks Miranda, like, do you think she's kind of off? And Miranda's like, oh, she's been drinking, you know, having few too many beers, haha. But Steve is like genuinely on edge and concerned.
Yeah, it was definitely more than just being drunk. She wasn't, because at that drunk, she was like drunk to the point where she's like forgetting her grandson's name. She would be a little bit more slurry, probably like toppling over. Like that's the only way you could be, you know, mixing people up like that. But she didn't seem like drunk. And I mean, maybe buzzed, but not drunk.
Yeah, and like they offer her ice cream, and she's like, "Oh, don't give any strawberry ice cream to baby Stevie because he's allergic." And Miranda's like, "That's Brady." And she goes, I know that, but who the hell are you? And that's when Steve's like, yeah, we gotta take mom to the emergency room. And he does, and they get back, and she has apparently had a small stroke, and they think maybe a week ago, which has caused like some bad memory loss and kind of kicked her into dementia, or maybe she was having dementia. I've dealt with this. It sucks so hard. This is horror. It's actually a very sad turn of events. I have to say, my
grandfather passed away of that.
My grandma did, of dementia, and my mom we lost to complications from a stroke. Don't like brain problems myself.
Yeah, man, it's a weird thing, man, because like especially for me, because like with my grandfather, you know. But before my dad and my stepmother got together, like I would spend summertime with my grandparents. So I mean, you know, it was like from like 6 till almost like, oh no, earlier than that, from like 4 until like 8 years old, I was spending like every summer with them. So like I knew my grandfather. And then like to see him not be that person anymore was just like weird, because you know, especially because me and him got closer too, even after I got out of the military, because he was a veteran too. He was he was an army veteran in Vietnam, so like he never talked about that when we were kids, but you know, now that me have had like similar experiences, me and him, you know, would talk about it, and then just like to see those memories be gone, it was just like, wait, hold on, like I just like it's like watching your best, like one of your best friends not be your best friend anymore. It's weird.
It is hands down one of the worst, like to me, possibly even more than like cancer or something, the worst way to go. It's just because it robs you of so much before.
And it's so slow too.
It's
like
so slow.
It's so slower painful.
It's really, and it's so hard on families and caretakers. And so, you know, they didn't know it. They didn't know the stroke had happened because she's living alone.
Right.
And he
And I'm
asks,
assuming she didn't know either, right? Because
no, when my mom had hers, she didn't really realize that she had one.
that's what I was saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I mean, unless it's like a really big one, like that actually like puts you down, you don't really know it. Probably, you probably just feel like, oh, I just got dizzy one day and for a second, and
Yeah,
then it was
pretty
over.
much. My brother, in taking her to the ER at the time, she did not hit her head, but she was on the ground, and as far as she was concerned, she was just sitting on her bed still. That's how bad
Oh wow,
confused strokes can be. Yeah,
that's
they're
wild.
the fucking worst. I hate them.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So they didn't realize it happened, and obviously the mom didn't really either. And so he asks if she can stay overnight with them, and Miranda's like, "Well, my God, of course," and goes with him to her apartment to get
Stop right there.
her
Who is
stuff.
this person?
Yeah,
This is where I was like, this is where I was starting to be like, okay, clearly they're just Russian because like I'm not
yeah,
saying that Brenda's not heartless, right? And I know when it comes to moms and things of that nature, she's a little bit more sensitive because of her mom's passing.
yeah, yeah.
However, none of that was really being shown.
It's a hard turn.
It's a
It's
it's
a
a big
nice
turn.
one. It's
I mean,
lovely.
90 degrees. She went like it
Yeah,
wasn't even no turn signals or nothing. Like we didn't see this coming. All of a sudden she's like, oh yeah, she's just very supportive of Steve and not like weirded out. Like usually when things of this nature happens with like emotions and feelings, she's usually kind of like weird about it. She gets uncomfortable and like it would have made sense for her to be like, you go do that. I'll stay here and not be part of this or whatever or like
yeah.
something like I mean, kudos to her for going. Obviously, like clearly
Mm-hmm.
she's figured out how to be like a good wife, but like it just didn't feel authentic for me.
Yeah, it's not that. Yeah, it's not like you said. It's she's not heartless, but
No,
she is reluctant to change. And this now we should point out. So this is just overnight. They get to Steve's mom's apartment and find that
yeah,
it's in a total. It's like a hoarder mess. It's disgusting,
yeah,
which again happens a lot with dementia and stroke
yeah,
and things like that. They
yeah.
can't see how dirty things are. There's like a cockroach that goes by, and Miranda's like, "You didn't see any of this?" And he's like, "No, we always met on the street when I'd come to pick her up."
Hmm.
Which that to me is dementia more than a
Yeah,
stroke, because they can kind of know to hide it in a weird way.
yeah. Isn't that interesting, right?
Yeah, like
Yeah,
they know they're not doing it, but at the same time can't get their brain to function to do like home care.
right,
It's very
right.
weird. And they get they get combative. My grandma and my mom would argue a
Hmm.
lot, like, because my grandma had
Hmm.
dementia
Hmm.
as well. It's crazy.
Well, I mean, I imagine too because it's probably frustrating to them because it's
Yeah,
like when you
exactly.
want to believe that you are okay, and then all of a sudden, but everything that's happening around you tells you that you're not okay. Like it probably upsets you, especially if you're used to somebody who's like being in control of your
Yeah,
stuff. I mean that's how my grandpa was. I mean, being a veteran and stuff like that, used to being kind of like
totally.
control having his faculties, and all of a sudden people are telling him he's doing things that he doesn't remember
Mm-hmm.
doing, and it's like it's
Yep.
almost like they're attacking you, but it's like hey, you're not. It's like you did this.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's like one of the hardest parts. So Steve kind of starts to clean up, and he's like, "We'll
Yeah.
get her a nurse, a full-time nurse to stay with her." They do that, and Miranda stops him and says she can come live with them.
Again, like
Yeah.
I was blindsided by that. I was like, because
Now
even when he's like, are you sure? I was expecting some hesitation to be like, well, maybe we can get her home or something like that. But she was like, no,
yeah.
that's why we got a big house. She's coming. It's like,
Yeah,
who is this
the
person?
big house thing.
Yeah, like who is this person? Who is this person?
And it's like it's so nice. But I'll just say from experience. Well, and also I should point out my mom's stroke left her with a lot more physical problems before
Yeah,
she passed.
sure.
And fuck Medicaid, fuck this lack of universal health care in this fucking country. They were trying to kick her out of the stroke rehab and be like, "Oh, well, you guys just take her home." To people who, my brother and sister-in-law would have been dealing with the bulk of it, because I would have eventually had to come home,
Right.
unless I quit everything here in California and became a caretaker, which I think would have snapped her out of the stroke, because she would have killed me. If we had said, "Hey, Elizabeth dropped her career in life to be a caretaker for
Murder.
you." What? Synapse is back online, baby.
Hey.
No, but home care is so intense, and I'm
Yeah.
surprised. That's why I agree that it's kind of surprising. There's a weird push, though. I think people are so anti-home, and I'm sorry. It's so nice to think that you could care for someone in the home who's had a stroke or has dementia. It is can be so fucking traumatic for everybody involved.
Yeah. Yeah.
For Steve, for her, for eventually the baby will notice.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's such an intense decision that she makes kind of on the fly, which I find.
No, it is because my stepmother, her mother came to live with us after she had had a few strokes,
Mhm.
and taking care of her and kind of like watching her and things of that nature. Like even us, like she would leave, during the summer she'd be at home to babysit us, but really we'd be babysitting
Yeah.
her because like you know and even when she came to live with us, she had like 2 or 3 strokes. Like this woman had a lot of strokes. I don't know how she was living. Like she had like,
Damn.
I think by the time she finally her last one that took her out was like a 9th stroke.
Jesus,
I
really?
know
Oh,
she
that's
had
sorry. That's
strokes. Yeah, that's a lot.
insane to me.
That's a lot. Yeah, yeah. Most of them were minors,
Right, but
of course, but
still.
there was like a few. The one that took her out eventually, like it didn't kill her right away, but it definitely had her in the
Yeah,
hospital for
yeah.
like a good month before she passed. But that was like probably the worst one that I had seen. But usually the rest of them were just kind of like these quick ones. And then, but yeah, just the idea that home care is like, we're not, like, if you're not trained for that, that's a lot to put
Yeah,
on anyone. Like, if I'm not a nurse or some shit like that who's like
right?
practiced in that, it's like, you shouldn't be sending them at home. Like they should have centers, they should have it's rehab, like they should have
That's
places that for people who actually know what they're doing. And even it's that's the thing too, is like they want to believe that, okay, well, maybe if I walk you through it or tell you to do these
mhm.
things and have suggestions and things, it's like, yeah, that only goes so far. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
like
you have to get somebody that's built for this.
the between the three of us, we're smart,
Yeah.
capable people by
Sure.
it's same with your family and everything like
Yeah.
that. That level of medical care is outrageous. My mom could not
Yeah.
walk.
Right.
So like how do you get her to the bathroom? How do you clean like and again there's it's a financial push, but I think there's also a sort of like well, it's family, you take care of family, you can't put your parent in a home. I'm sorry, you can put your parent in a home if you are not equipped to handle like major medical.
Yeah.
It's one thing if they're like fine and you put them in a home, that's not
Right.
good. But like
Right.
I it's there's nothing heartless about being like you cannot care for like and like I said, the fights with Medicaid and Medicare and all these things
Yeah.
were so frustrating and upsetting. And I think I've said this here maybe, but if I haven't, I worry about the aging parent group we have as like in our age group, the
Mm-hmm.
boomer parents
Mm-hmm.
aging,
Mm-hmm.
because that is a wave that is coming, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't think enough people are prepared for it. Everybody's so financially strapped. We're in a recession. Retirements aren't what they used to be. People are still having to work. And you're going to
Tell
get
me
this
about it.
wave of parents that are either going to have to come live with the children now, if like if the adult children aren't living with them because of financial problems, that are also going to be forced to become caretakers.
Mhm.
And nobody's equipped for that. The economy and the healthcare, it's a nightmare that
Yeah.
is like on the horizon that I don't have an answer to other than national healthcare. But
Which is
no,
like it's
that's
crazy.
socialism.
But that's the thing. It's like it's crazy that that's not a thing because
Yeah.
it's clearly worked in so many other countries. Like, yeah,
Hmm.
you get taxed, but it's like you get taxed anyway. Especially like
Yeah.
if you're not a fucking billionaire, fucking real estate mogul, or
Yeah.
some big business like Amazon. Like, yeah, you gotta you're not getting taxed if you're that high in the tax brackets. But like everybody else who's working day-to-day jobs or 9 to 5 jobs, we're getting the tax out the wazoo. So we might as well get something out of it, which
Yeah.
is healthcare. Like,
Hmm. I maintain the only reason I'm not totally like financially destitute from my cancer treatment stuff as a freelance worker who had to do the Obamacare basically in
mhm.
California, or I had Obamacare regular, but then I did like a special like Medicaid in California for my treatment, and it covered everything. And
Yeah,
I'm beyond happy to pay these sky high California taxes because that meant I didn't get fucking ruined
yeah.
by my cancer treatment, and nobody should
Well,
face that.
yeah. I mean, that's the thing too. It's like you shouldn't be in financial ruin because you get sick,
Yeah.
especially when you got a government that allows, certain chemicals that cause cancer into their foods and products and things that we, have to like be in touch with and contact with and ingest on a daily basis. Like, yes, we don't have to go to McDonald's every day, but hell, even trying to go to the grocery store, you have to like read every fucking label because there's shit on the shelves that you think is healthy and it's got, 12 chemicals that's going to probably cause brain aneurysms in like 10 years of continuous use. So it's like, if you're gonna poison us basically and keep us sick, at least give us health. Then we believe that you have our best interests at heart. Maybe, then it won't be all these conspiracy theories or people not trusting the government. It's like, like it's crazy. It's so wild. Yeah. And that's the thing too. It's like stuff like that, especially like you were saying with, our parents who are gonna be going into, older age and have to go into hospice. It's like there's no, I can't even imagine at this point right now. It's like it's like if either one of my parents were to get sick and they needed like care, I'd be asked out. I don't even know what to do. I wouldn't even know where to start.
Yeah,
with trying to get them taken care of, and that's the sad thing. Is like it shouldn't.
It was beyond. It was so hard to navigate and try to like get answers on the questions where we're like, okay, well, what do we do about X? Okay, well, what do we do about Y now? And they'd be like, oh, well, it's not this, it's that. On. It's just a fucking nightmare.
It's crazy.
And I worry about we're relative, like our respective family, me and then my brother, we're like middle class relatively. I mean, I'm not rolling in dough or anything like that, but I'm employed.
That's the thing. Middle class is basically poor, honestly. Honestly, you're basically of course, there's people who are doing worse off. Yes, I'm not saying but I'm just saying. But middle class, it's not even
ain't what it
used
to be.
Yeah, it ain't saying much. I mean, that means you got a roof over your head. That's about it.
Yeah.
But if anything, any kind of monkey wrench in the system, you'd be just as fucked as anybody who's only making like $30,000 a year or something.
Yeah, like and we have, so we have all those things, and we're educated and whatnot, and it was still a nightmare to deal with, and they were still ready to like, throw our heavily disabled mom into a house with people with no like. They were like, oh, just install a wheelchair ramp. Okay, who's paying for that? How are we handling that?
Yeah.
Just get a medical bed for her in the house. What? Like,
because that costs nothing. What are you talking about? That's chump change. You go and get one of those, like
I think they
$25.
I think they get a cut of it or something if they sell you on it. It was just the worst. But I worry for people who don't have the like education or resources that we have. Like, well, you're gonna get parents dying in people's homes. Sorry, that's grim.
No, it's true. No, but it's the truth. But it's the truth. No, it is. And that's the thing too. It's like that's kind of the problem with what we got going on healthcare wise. It's like healthcare is a business now. It's not about the people. It's not about taking care of people, making sure that they like have the best thing. It's like, how much can we sell you? How long can we make this bill? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the fact that the ambulance costs money. Like to just
it's cheaper to take an Uber to the ER than it is to take an ambulance.
That's what I'm saying. Like if I'm dying, I still gotta pay to die. Like not only are we the only beings and only creatures on this earth that pay to live, we also gotta pay to die. Because even if you die, your troubles are over, but your debt gets transferred to your immediate family. So like not only do they have to like figure out how to put you in the earth, now they have to figure out how to pay your bills. Like
we didn't even put her in the earth; she was cremated, and that still doesn't matter.
It's still
I'll transition out of this super grim stuff on a dark but funny note. So I, as I've mentioned, am doing my big trip to Ireland, actually very soon, as of the publishing of this podcast. And so I got a little travel urn. I'm gonna take her and deposit her in
oh yes, that's right. That's
the land of the ancestors and all that good stuff. On the website, so I got a little travel one. That's like, you can't see my hands if you're listening to this.
By the way, before you finish the story, are you gonna take a little bit and like make a necklace out of it, do that little thing?
No, probably not.
Okay, I just wanted to.
That's not for me, but if people do that, do what you want with them within normal reason.
Well, no, because like they I don't know how, but they say how like
they compress them into diamond.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I just wanted.
And honestly, I haven't decided. I'm not taking the full container with me. I'm taking just a portion. But anyway, so I was shopping for a travel urn. And on their website, the one I did buy from, they show somebody dispersing them with like, they have a bigger tube one that you can kind of like, I guess take a tab off of, and then you can sort of basically wave your arm. And they show the person like against a beautiful sunset with this arc of ashes and the tube in their hand. And I was like, who in their right mind would disperse them that way? Do you know how carefully I'm going to put her
Seriously.
I should point out, I'm doing it on like a craggy, windswept cliffside in like the furthest northern reaches of Ireland. Yeah. If you think I'm gonna just crack the top open and let her blow right into my mouth, you're out of your fucking mind.
Fucking the Big Lebowski over here.
I know, but the first thing my brother said was, "Don't get Big Lebowski." When I said I'd take her ashes with me, he was like,
whatever direction the wind is blowing, you turn
the other way.
Yeah, you turn that way and make sure that it goes. Yeah.
So anyway, back to Miranda on our big old tangent. Long story short, get your parents' Medicare and Medicaid in order before it's too late.
Or move to Europe and become a citizen or Canada.
Or win the lotto or something.
Yeah,
I don't know. Or be rich, or just be rich. I don't know.
Well, I mean, honestly, at this point, medical stuff is like, if I have any kind of medical issues, I'm just gonna go to like South America and hopefully just pay enough money to.
I think those people did that, and 2 of them got kidnapped by a cartel.
That's fine. You can take care of. You can take me.
Okay.
If I'm dying anyway, I mean, you might as well. Like, you can have my money. I mean, I'm gonna die anyway. So either you can fix me or you can kill me. I don't care. But I'm not gonna try to pay for it here and be like,
I'm not paying American prices for that.
No, hell no. I'm paying $2,000 for it, whatever medical procedure I'm paying. That's it.
So later on in the episode, Charlotte's visiting with Miranda, and Steve's mom like walks in and she's like, I want to take Stevie to the zoo. Miranda has to correct her. See, this is where they're fucking up, though. There should 100% be a nurse involved in all this. They're just kind of like letting
you would think, this
dementia patient live with them. Is Magda kind of
that's like, I think that's what I was kind of thinking, right? Because remember, she did leave her with Magda when they went to go to the house to go pick up like her gown and stuff. So
and like Magda has been around this whole time, so she should in theory be okay with Magda, but. Is Magda medically trained? I don't think so.
Really. She's like, she's like a glorified nanny,
a nanny
right?
maid type person. Anyway.
Yeah.
But Miranda's explaining, there's good days and bad days, which is 100% how dementia goes. And Charlotte's like, well, how are you doing? And she's like, I'm not doing that great, actually. And she says, Steve's doing okay. He works all night at the bar, and he kind of spends most of the day with his mom, which that's not gonna be sustainable, my friends. I'm sorry, that's rough. Yeah. But they're having this nice friend moment, Miranda and Charlotte, and then Miranda realizes, wait a second, Mary is the mom's name. Mary's coat was on, and they realize she wandered out of the house.
Gone. Left the door open and everything.
Have you seen? It's newer, so there's Amber Alerts, but now they have Silver Alert for when seniors do that. Yeah,
that's good.
It's good. It's a great thing, actually. Thank God.
Yeah. Although, I mean, let's be honest, nobody really pays attention. That's the sad thing.
I know.
I'm
guilty
as anyone. Oh no, we all are. I'm not gonna pretend that I don't just be like, turn it off. Like, I'm not gonna pretend. It's fucked up. But yeah, I mean, it's still good that it exists. At least we're fucking.
At least there's a shot.
At least there's a shot that somebody might pay attention.
As a major homebody, most of the time I get those alerts, I'm nowhere near where I could be useful to like look for anything. So.
Right. I mean, also too, it's like,
it's more if you're
what
out.
What are you going to do? Yeah, like what are you? Are you going to go like still stand in the street, like looking for a gray Nissan? You know what I mean? Like it's not.
I think it's if you happen to be out and about, it's like, maybe I will keep my eyes open for an elderly person or a Nissan or whatever the car, So Miranda chases after her and finds her eating pizza out of the trash. So sad. But then she does go to this pizza tastes like garbage. Which Miranda's like, it is garbage.
It's not funny, but it's funny only because of the actress. She's so good. It's like, it wasn't supposed to be funny, but like her face when she turned around, she's hilarious. Oh man, she's so good.
She's amazing. So they get her home. Miranda gets her into like a warm bath because we should point out it's full winter as it has been for these past few episodes. So
Right.
again, dangerous too. She's older. She
Mm.
had her coat on, but she wasn't like properly, for a winter
No,
walk.
that was like a daytime, walk around coat, but who knows how long she could have wandered if Miranda
Yeah.
wasn't paying attention.
So Magda observes, Miranda giving her the warm bath and everything, and so then later in the episode, it's like nighttime, everything's settled down, and Miranda's just kind of at like the table reading the paper by herself, and Magda comes in and says, "What you did, that is love. You love." And Miranda kind of tears up, and she's like, "Well, let's not make this a big deal to Steve." And Magda gives her like a very motherly kiss on the head. That's kind of it for Miranda's story. Now,
Yeah.
I think, because
Beautiful moment, but I just didn't really feel it because it was like it wasn't earned.
Yeah, because we were saying how much we noticed these past few episodes that she low-key fucking hates this like family life she built.
Yeah.
That she didn't really want.
Yeah.
She's accepted it now. And so I think it's important for Miranda to know, and for someone to recognize that Miranda is capable of this kind of familial love, and for someone to tell her, and then she knows it more internally. I think that's really good. And a nice thing for her character. But as we said, I don't think it's earned over the course of what we saw from the wedding to now. Because she barely tolerated the wedding, barely tolerated the honeymoon, didn't want to move for her family, for her family.
Too, as far as like just being supportive of people, like she hasn't really shown that in the last couple episodes.
Yeah.
Like, with Carrie and things of that nature. It's like, so it didn't line up.
It's trying to soften her after having her be so tough for so long.
Yeah.
And like, obviously,
it's like, hey, we know we want to do a spinoff, so we got to make you like her before we fucking end this shit. It's just, this bit doesn't come together. I don't know if there needed to be more. They really, it's like, man, we already know there's a movie in the works, so let's make y'all
well,
like her.
I don't think they knew. They didn't know for sure they were doing a movie when they wrapped up.
They did. The idea was out there. They maybe didn't know for sure if it was happening, but they were like, just in case we go ahead with that, let's make you like her.
Yeah, and people liked Miranda, though. People have always liked Miranda. We didn't particularly like her over the course of our viewing. I do think she's way harsher in hindsight. Like, everybody liked that she was like so tough and abrasive and everything like that, and there is a certain merit to that. But really, this last few episodes, like the honeymoon, just really sticks in my craw as being like, you fucking married him. But you like barely want to be around him.
Yeah.
This person you married, who you also had a baby with, like, if you did, it kind of rings false because all the women end up in relationships at the end. Yeah. Even though the little final monologue is like, oh, the relationship with yourself is the most important one. Okay. It is. I don't disagree with it, but it rings hollow when you have this kind of scenario where Miranda's not herself. I mean, she's herself, but this is, I know she's a good friend in a crisis, like, and then maybe that's kind of what this is like. I mean, this is a crisis. Steve's mom has had a stroke and has dementia and lives with them now. So I think I think the gentleness of like her giving the mom like a bath is kind of the indicator that it's not just she's handling things in crisis mode. It's that she cares. She cares enough to do these little extra things, because she could just bring mom home and stick her back in the house and call it a day. The bath thing is very intimate and very caring. and
and that's the thing too, is like it was her suggestion for her to come live too, because it wasn't like,
yeah,
because like, because it was Steve that was saying we should get her a nurse, and the Miranda we know would have been like, yes, that's a good idea, let's get her a
yeah,
nurse, because ain't no way she's living with
yeah.
us.
That's my option. I'm like, let's get your mom a nurse.
Yeah, I mean
But
to
that's
be
from
fair, yeah.
experience
But yeah,
more
and
than anything.
that's the wild thing too. It's like, in a way, that it is kind of, I mean, if you in hindsight, that is kind of the better option
Yeah.
than her just coming to live with them. So,
But in all fairness, though, like I said, society very much pushes like, don't put your parent in a home unless you hate them. You should just let them live with you and care for them, regardless of the like intensity of their care needs, which
right,
these are intense. I
yeah,
mean, the mom is like still functioning now and can walk around, but at a certain point,
yeah. How long?
the hygiene starts to go,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
bathroom control starts to
yeah,
go,
yeah,
and that's when things get bad,
yeah.
and all sorts of stuff like that. So
100%.
uh yeah, I guess I also find this storyline, though, as abrupt as it kind of is, kind of nice, though, to acknowledge that caring for aging parents is like a big thing that couples face.
Yes. Yeah.
um and for Miranda to have to do it is kind of a good, I guess, character challenge for her in a
Yeah.
way, because as much as I keep calling it care, and there's sort of two meanings to it. There's the like scientific, like caring for somebody, and then there's the also caring for them. So it's caring for people outside of herself, and I think that's what Magda acknowledges at the end,
Yeah.
is that she is perhaps more capable of it than she has ever thought before, and this taking on this very large burden, frankly, is a big way of showing that you can care outside of yourself.
We'll see.
So who do you want to talk about next?
That's
Want to do Charlotte?
yeah, hers is kind of quick. It's kind of
Hers
like,
is relatively quick, yeah.
yeah.
But
By the way, yay for
oh, we're
the,
so excited.
yeah.
I didn't quite cheer up, but
I did. I was like, yeah, I was like, I mean, of all the people who deserves a baby, who deserves a baby?
who deserves a
Like,
baby? But our sweet,
there's no one on this
sweet
episode of this show
Charlotte.
that's ever deserved a baby. Like, oh, and I was, man. Let me tell.
Let's get into
Let's get into
it. So when we first see
So
Charlotte,
upset.
she's shopping with Anthony. Again, one last appearance in the original series anyway, from the wonderful Mario Cantone. We love him. Always fun.
Yes.
And I love that Charlotte wants to get a new outfit for the parents of the potential adoption.
Right.
They're doing like a private one, and the couple's from Charlotte, North Carolina, and she's like, I
Yeah.
feel like that's a sign. And
Yeah.
Anthony jokes that it's very TV movie that they're from Charlotte. And I can't think of the actress, but he mentions Valley of the Dolls, which is a great camp classic. If you haven't seen it, it is.
I've never seen it. Yeah, I didn't get
it's
the reference.
wild.
Yeah.
It's such a great 60s movie. It has Sharon Tate, who famously murdered by the Manson family.
Why did I say Manson family? They weren't really related, were they?
No. It's just what they called themselves. It's
yeah.
Thing. We don't have time for me to get on.
No. It's fine. No.
Because
I know why, but it's like we're good.
And
so it makes me want to watch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood again, just to see. I know that's not how it happened, but like, I love that ending. I love that ending.
My mom actually teared up at that ending because she lived through when that happened,
right?
And she was she was, not that she knew Sharon Tate or anything like that, but she's just like, it's just kind of sad to like that. Could have been, it didn't have to,
I know, but then what an ending. It's like, ugh. Between that and Inglourious Basterds, like, then I mean, if that's how history had went down, we'd have a lot. It'd be a lot cooler. It'd be pretty awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. But then I love Mario Cantone. Anthony says like, I'd be played by Colin Farrell in your TV movie, and I just wanted to bring up the Colin Farrell thing because he was at the Oscars, and I love Colin Farrell. He's so. Well,
that was funny too, because Charlotte was like, "Oh, do you think you look like him?"
He goes, "It's my movie."
That's like. Here's the thing: Charlotte rarely throws shade, but when she does, it's darkness. It's darkness. You're like, she was like, "You think you look like Colin Farrell?" Okay, because like, not only was she throwing shade, she said it with like the sweetest tone and the sweetest smile on her face. So it's like she's just like, "Hey, just want you to know, do you really think that's you?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be mean, but like, is that you?
But then he does ask, once there is a kid, what is my role in your life? Because people do drop friends or lose friends when babies come into play.
It's got to be hard not for that not to happen.
But I don't.
Right?
Yeah, I just hung out with friends who I haven't seen in a few months or really since Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So it's a good chunk of time because they're working. They got the twins.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. So I, as like a single person without like children or family of my own, I don't hold any ill will towards like friends who are parents.
Yeah.
Because I'm sorry, children take
up
a lot of time. It's
time,
and I have like,
especially like newborns. Get out of here.
Yeah, like I don't think it's not. I think there's a weird like my friends abandoned me once they had kids. I'm like, okay, do you know how fucking hard it is to take care of a kid?
Also, too, it's like if they spent more time with you than like I don't know raising their child, wouldn't that also make them a bad person?
They make them a bad parent.
Like it's like if I just had a newborn, but you're seeing me every Friday, would you be like, shouldn't you be like at home?
And like I get it if you don't like kids, you just got to kind of accept like, well, kids are part of their life now, so you either have to really work on making plans that don't involve them, or
get over your shit.
Get over it. Yeah, pretty much. Like I've gone to I have like these friends I have, like I've gone to their house and hung out and like played around with the kids and stuff. We're still talk like adults. They're still little enough that like you can kind of say stuff in front of them without them catching. They're getting older though. They're gonna start to repeat things. But
it's gonna get there soon enough.
It'll happen fast.
You're gonna have
but,
to,
But
one day you're gonna be like, what the fuck? And they're like, what the fuck? And you're like, oh no, not me. Not me. I didn't tell him that.
Or you can tag team, like, and talk to one parent while the other's busy. There's ways to deal with it. But anyway, Charlotte's like,
well, that's the thing too. Like, even if you have kids, even keeping up with friends who also have kids, it's still hard.
That's hard too. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not harder.
Yeah.
So.
But of course, she says he'll always have a place in her life, and she's like, well, I hope nothing goes wrong. And then he's like, don't worry about it. I know some gays that got a Guatemalan kid for like $100.
Like, I don't know if it makes me cynical or if I'm just like, I guess maybe just the avenue, but like somehow when he said that didn't seem wild to me. Like I laughed because it's a good joke, but then I was like, why does that feel possible?
I mean, there's dark web and all that. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I mean. It's like if you rich enough and know the right person, like, why does that feel possible? It just felt. I was like, oh man, that's kind of like dark and sad. Because then I'm also thinking, like, was that baby like actually up for adoption, or was that baby kidnapped?
Oh yeah, you got to check on that shit.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's.
I mean, Charlotte and Harry are going through the proper channels.
Yeah.
So that's good. But if they were really baby crazy,
I don't. And that's what Charlotte wouldn't even let him. Like, even if he was like, "Hey, I know a guy," she'd be like, "No, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
no way. I'm not gonna have a black market baby."
Yeah. Black market
baby. I'm not gonna have a black. Do you think Charlotte's gonna let? No way. No fucking. I don't care how cute the baby is. Like, I'm not gonna have a black market baby. It's not gonna happen. Yeah.
So they do meet the couple from North Carolina, and they're talking up what they'll do for the baby, and I like, Harry's like, would anyone like more locks? And the husband's like, was that the fish? And he's like, yeah. And the guy's like, good. Like they're a little,
they're southern.
They're southern and a little rural. They're not down with some of the New York stuff. And they do say it's a girl though, and the mom gets all excited about picking out names, and she's clearly attached, and Charlotte's like, we're not getting the baby, are we? And the mom kind of starts to cry, and she's like, we changed our minds. And Harry's so mad. He's like,
I would be too, bro.
Yeah, I'm on Harry's side.
I would be too, because the guy, especially the guy too, like he was just such a dick. He was like, well, because Harry asked, he's like, why'd y'all come here to New York and make us jump through a bunch of hoops trying to like entertain y'all and please y'all and cater to y'all if you knew this the entire time? He's like, well, we never seen New York. I'd have leaped over that fucking table and beat his ass.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I can understand the mom, the baby's growing inside of her,
it's a whole attachment thing.
And things like, that's like, it's biology at that point. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, I can't be mad at her, but like for him to say that to me, I'm smacking you. Like, you gotta take one smack. Sorry, because you're not gonna come in my house, eat my fucking food, and
Yeah.
then just say something blatantly like, like what inconsiderate. That's how you know what I mean. Like you gotta get smacked, my guy. And I'm a lawyer, and I know how to get out of it too.
Yeah. So,
like
and well,
get smacked.
speaking of, Harry is later writing an angry email to their baby lawyer, who's helps them handle all this adoption stuff, and Charlotte is taking it much more in stride. She just goes, that wasn't our baby, we were.
By the way, she handled this situation
like a champ
so well.
Yeah,
compared to everything that she's been through in this past, like basically this entire series. Surprised at how she was just like, okay.
Mm-hmm. And like, Harry is really like upset. He's, very, very angry, understandably so.
Yeah.
And and I think obviously part of it is he wants this, obviously as a parent, to be a parent. He wants her to be happy because he just cares for her so damn much.
I know. Harry's the best. Harry's the best. He just
loves her to death.
He seriously does. He seriously does.
And so he's heartbroken, obviously, not just for himself as a parent or for them as a couple, but for her.
Yeah.
And he's like, I feel like God lost our address to get us this baby. And Charlotte goes, oh, honey, we're Jews. We've been through worse than this. So cute.
And you know what, like that little thing that she said to him, you could tell it like actually cheered him up, because he was like, "We're not,
Charlotte."
Oh man, that was. I mean, of all the cute moments, man, they got some. Harry and Charlotte got like some of the cutest moments of the entire series. Cute. They're super cute.
Well, and that brings us to probably the cutest, happiest moment in the whole episode for them, and maybe the series.
Yeah.
Is right towards the end of the episode, Charlotte is unpacking some Chinese takeout. She goes, he comes home, she's like, oh, it's a bad wife. I ordered Chinese takeout. And he walks in the door, he's like, well, I got something from China too. And they have the envelope that says they're getting a baby. She'll be there in 6 months. And there's a little photo of her. And Charlotte starts to cry and says, that's our baby. I love it so much.
I mean, the only thing that could have made me, I was like this close to crying. I ain't gonna fucking lie. But the only thing that would have made me cry is if he actually just brought home the baby.
If they had an actual physical baby, or even if like we see the girls like walking together and stuff at the end of the episode. I think if Charlotte had had a baby, then I would have probably burst into tears. I'm like, she got the baby.
It's over. I would have like turned off the episode. I can't watch anymore. I'm in shambles. Don't you dare come in with a little cute little Asian baby for Charlotte. Don't you do it. Don't you do it to me, HBO.
But we're so happy.
Yeah, but it's just, man, she deserves it. So
all the bullshit she went through with Trey, fertility, and the pregnancy loss that she had, several episodes ago, the whole thing. It's just, it's nice to have something work out for her. Finally, she's got a good man, best man ever, possibly by her side.
I mean, the entire series, if you ask me, honestly, like
I said, I think he's almost always number one in the boyfriend husband power rankings of
he beats Aiden, but the only reason why he beats Aiden is because Aiden dated Carrie. If Aiden didn't, you know what I'm saying? Like if Aiden didn't date Carrie, I don't think we would have saw the things that happened to him and the way he acted when those things were happening to him. Those things we wouldn't have saw that part of him.
Yeah, like Aiden was a good man, good boyfriend for sure. He cared for Carrie a lot, did a lot of things for her.
Yeah,
and clearly
to his detriment.
Loved her to his extreme detriment. Yeah. But Harry just pulls ahead by choosing the right lady.
Basically, yeah. That's why I'm saying that's why he pulls ahead, because he got with Charlotte. Like if he got with Carrie, I probably feel the same about the way I feel about Aiden. Like if the roles were reversed. So
I always thought Charlotte should date Aiden. That would have been a little match made in heaven.
Man, like that. Matter of fact, that would be especially like if that had happened. Like after the first time him and Carrie had broke up, and then like he comes back in and like finds Charlotte and they start dating. Oh man, that would have been
after she divorces Trey, Who I know Trey's a goober and no one likes Trey. I'm the only person who kind of likes Trey.
I don't know why people. Okay. You because you're saying this to me, and like I said, I wasn't in the talks and the lexicon. I wasn't on the Twitter and stuff like that. I don't get it. Trey was a good guy.
Trey's not bad. He's not the absolute bottom. Like he's somewhere in the middle. I think what kills it for people was the cardboard baby, and like and the mother stuff. Sorry, and also being like the super mama's boy is what kills Trey.
But to be fair, the mom thing you can't really blame him for because clearly she's had her hooks in him since he was a fucking child. Like, that's years of manipulation. He wasn't just gonna get over that in a short period of time. You know what I mean? There was no woman that could have came in. Like even if he had dated Samantha, she wouldn't have had the power to like shit. She probably could have done a little bit better because Charlotte was a little bit more passive and things of that nature. But like eventually it would have been the same.
Yeah.
You know.
But Charlotte gets her happy
baby.
Yeah, the cardboard baby.
Ooh, man, I forgot about that. Oh shit. Oh man. Good gorgeous.
But she gets a real baby.
Yeah.
She's getting a real baby with Harry, and it's so nice.
I mean, the only thing that could have been more tragic than the cardboard baby is if like Harry had brought in like a puppet.
A baby puppet?
like a Pinocchio puppet.
Oh, did you see that new Pinocchio on Netflix, the Guillermo del Toro one?
I listen, I love Guillermo del Toro, but I'm not gonna watch his version of Pinocchio. I know that's just gonna be creepy as fuck, and I can't do it.
Well, it's not even that it was just creepy, it was incredibly sad. It was so I was like crying for half of the movie.
I mean, here's like, Pinocchio's already a dark story. I don't need Guillermo del Toro to like darken it up.
I mean, he added Italian fascism. I'm good. It's crazy.
I'm good. I appreciate it. I'm sure it's great. I'm sure it definitely got nominated for some Oscars, but I'm a pass.
It won for best animated feature.
I bet. I mean, as the guy knows what he's doing. Like I said, I'm not ready for that. I am ready for his next project. That's gonna be fire.
Oh, the Frankenstein thing.
Yes,
with my husband's Andrew Garfield and Oscar Isaac.
Yeah, that's gonna be.
And I love Mia Goth. She's good. Pearl was great. She was so great in Pearl.
Yeah, that's gonna be. I'm ready for that. That's gonna be dope. And that's the thing. That's the kind of darkness I'm ready for. Because like it's Frankenstein. It's supposed to be dark, not Pinocchio. Like Pinocchio's dark, but it's like. It's kids. It's supposed to be for kids. Not give me nightmares. You know what I mean?
It's pronounced Frankenstein.
Frankenstein.
It's my little shout out to Mel Brooks. Anyway, so Samantha, we'll discuss Samantha.
Yes.
So Samantha is getting her hair done with Smith. They're bleaching it, and honestly, they both look terrible. I don't know what they did.
Yeah, trash. Yeah, neither one of them. Yeah, no, trash. I didn't like either one of them.
They didn't tone it. It looks, it's like yellow. It's so bad on both of them.
I mean, honestly, though, like...
I don't understand what happened.
Here's the great thing about it. For me, the great thing about it was, yes, did it look awful? Yes. But it also gave me a little bit of nostalgia because, like, I mean, how many kids we see look like this in high school? Like,
I know, like, that era.
I mean, oh, man. Like, probably, I would say... 40% of dudes was rocking this color in their hair.
Well, I told you like that. I told you off mic or whatever that my one friend who you met, Ryan, he's got like jet black hair, and he told me he like tried bleaching it in high school, and I was like, buddy, no, I don't think so.
No, you do not have the face for it. You don't have. I was like,
you don't got the hair.
None of it.
Your hair is. He first told me that. I went, your hair is far too dark.
Yeah.
Like she was like obviously 20. His hair's normal now, but it's just like I was like, oh, okay.
I mean, I'm trying to.
Somebody was experimental in high school. I know, not good. Not good.
It's awful, actually. What I picture in my head is awful.
If you ever see me with my friend Ryan and you try to picture him with even some blonde highlights, awful. It ain't happening.
No.
Someone told me I should add a bunch of blonde in my hair, and I went, absolutely not. I wouldn't look good.
No. I'm trying to picture.
I'm too pale. Ryan and I kind of have similar color. We're both very pale, and my hair's not as dark, but
no, I just don't see you rocking that at all. Yeah, that's not.
I was told to put a lot of blonde highlights in my hair, and I was like, with these eyebrows?
Yeah. No.
With my Colin Farrell eyebrows? No, thank you.
Hilarious.
But anyway, they're in like a changing room at this like hair salon, and Smith starts to kiss her. She kind of pulls back, and he's like, "Are we gonna talk about the fact that we haven't had sex in like a long time?" And she's like, "Okay, right now." And he's like, "Yeah, my therapist kind of suggested I'd bring it up." And she's like, "Well, when did you start with a therapist?"
Yeah, she was kind of taken aback by that, but
Yeah.
I thought that was a very mature thing.
So mature.
That he decided to go to therapy because, like, yeah, dude,
He
going
says
through somebody with cancer treatments is hard, man. Like, you need counseling for that, and that after that too. You know what I mean?
She should be in it. I started after I was done with all my treatment and stuff, and
there you go.
It's been
and
great.
you were going through it, but I think
it's mature.
I mean, even anybody who's with you probably be going through it too.
No, it's totally mature of him to say, like, I started to go to kind of deal with all this. And she's like, look, I have no sex drive, which happens a lot with chemo and stuff like that. They actually, they're one of the kind of cancer patient accounts I follow calls it a post-chemo hoe phase when you're done and you're like ready to get back in the streets.
Is that a thing?
It didn't happen to me. Well, I finished and it was the pandemic, so there were no damn streets to get into.
Well, I don't know. I think if you tried hard enough, you could, because there were definitely people still doing some things.
That's true.
They were supposed
a lot of babies born in the last couple of years.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. He was out there. I heard some stories. He was making a trip, getting an Ubers and shit.
I don't really have any kind of hoe phase though, so let's be real.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
But she's like, I have no sex drive. You're leaving town for a movie. He's going to be on like a remote shoot for 8 weeks. She's like, so what's the point of even kind of bringing it up right now? And then the hairdresser is like, oh, Samantha, I see 2 pairs of feet. I don't know why he sounds like Stewie when I do it. He kind of did in the show too.
He kind of did, actually. Yeah.
And he's like, you better not be doing it in there. And Samantha's like, oh, we're not. And he's like, oh yeah, that'd be a first. No, that's not bad. Stewie impression. Look at me.
It's not bad. And he actually did sound like that.
Yeah.
Which is weird. Why was he speaking that way? No one speaks that way.
He was like a vaguely British hairdresser type guy, I guess.
I think he was like, this is my personal take on that character. I think they probably hired him to do that British accent. And,
I don't think he is an actual British person.
And I think that's what like American ears at the time thought was like could pass for a British accent, and it just didn't work. It didn't work at all.
Not in the slightest.
Yeah.
So the next scene we see them, Samantha's enjoying some weed. Hell yeah. She's always been she's been blazing it up this whole series.
Yeah.
Not just like, obviously they say weed is good for like chemo with pain and then sometimes appetite and things like that, but no, man, she just has always loved weed.
Well, I can tell you one thing. If you never had it or never tried it, try being stoned and having sex. It's 10 out of 10. That's all I'm saying.
Well,
if you ask Samantha, she'll probably tell you the same thing.
Oh yeah, I bet she's done that.
It's amazing. I don't care who you are. Try it out.
So she's blazing up, chilling while Smith is packing for his location shoot. He's gonna be in like remote Canada for 8 weeks. And
shooting a barbarian movie.
Shooting an Attila the Hun
movie. She's like, why are you shooting in Canada?
I know.
It actually doesn't make, I mean, honestly, yeah, it is cheaper, and too, like, it kind of makes sense. There's a lot of wilderness in Canada.
Yeah, that's where they're shooting The Last of Us, is all in Alberta, Canada, and there's a lot of remote remote areas to film in. So she tells him, though, she's like, while you're there, feel free to have sex. And he's like, again with this, you know, because he's been on the first movie shoot before. She was like, you know what, you do that.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm doing it to keep you because I know sex is important, and you know, I'm not giving it to you. And he's like, look, it's just the chemo. I know that. And he makes this lovely metaphor. He's like, it's like winter. Just because the trees are bare doesn't mean they're dead. Spring's going to come again, and then bam. But she like pushes the sex thing again. And she's like, it's just sex. It won't affect what we have together. And he's like, I don't want to do that. I don't. And she's like, well, don't be so provincial.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing. Kudos to him for not, taking a rub on the offer. But also kudos to her for being like, look, I know that you have needs. I'm not gonna trip on it. Like, I'm not giving you what you want. Like, as long as you don't bring no bullshit home to me, we're good. Like, kudos to both of them. Like but like, obviously she didn't really mean it, obviously, because we find out later. But but just the fact that she was like even just willing to even like have, because like honestly, I think most guys don't really like. We ain't really trying to be out there on the streets like that, especially if we're in a relationship. But I think if a woman just like, hey, do what you want, just the idea that we can is enough for most dudes. I honestly believe that. I 100% believe. Just saying like you would be okay with it is more than enough. Just like I think there's most dudes like, yeah, we like the idea of a threesome. I think a lot of dudes would like the idea of a threesome, but to actually do it, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of. It's just too much shit. Yeah, like not that I've had one. I'm just saying I can imagine it's a lot. So like, even if a woman just says I'm down for it, I think that would satisfy a guy enough to be like, oh, cool. Just being down with it is enough. You don't actually have to execute.
Yeah,
just personally. Maybe I could be wrong. Maybe
I
mean, in the comments, guys.
Let us know because that's definitely something I can't speak to. But later Samantha gets to her office and has a flower delivery, and it's actually like sprouted flower bulbs. It's not like flowers.
Yeah.
But the note says, "Can't wait till spring. Love, Smith." And she immediately calls him and says, "Hey, you know the sex offer? Don't do it." And he's like, I wasn't going to, but
no, he never was. Yeah, he never planned on it.
He's like, thank you for touching base with me on that.
Yeah. He wasn't going to. The flower things was sweet though.
Flower thing is so sweet.
Yeah, that was cute.
It's really, this is where I know you don't like what happened with Richard in those few episodes, but this is where Smith gets into like the top 3 usually too on boyfriend.
No. Listen. All I'm saying is this. He's owed one. That's all I'm saying. One slip up. If he ever slips up, she can't say shit.
Yeah.
If he ever does decide to bang some extra on some set or something like that, you can't even be mad. You just gotta put your chin up and move forward.
Yep.
Because you owe him at least one.
Everybody gets one.
Because that's the thing too. Because even if he just like bangs some random extra or something like that, it's like that's still nothing compared. Because like you banged like your whole like ex like the guy that you was falling in love with. Guy. So like it's a lot. The stakes are it's a lot thicker of a stake than just having sex with one person that he probably never see again. Yeah.
But he then later in the episode he comes home in the middle of the night and crawls into bed with her. He flew back probably on like a break. Yeah. And he's like, I forgot to tell you something on the phone. I love you. And she's like, you flew back just to tell me that? And he's like, can you think of a better reason? And then she's like, you've meant more to me than any other man I've known. And they kiss and the camera pans over to one blooming flower from the little bouquet he gave her.
But she never said I love you though.
She never did say it. I noticed that too.
She never said it. I was like, damn, Samantha's still Samantha. She still didn't say I love you. She didn't say I love you back or nothing.
No.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the end of their arc. We do in like in the final montage of kind of where everybody's life is. We get a quick shot of Samantha naked on top of Smith, orgasming again with all the flowers in bloom. So
yes,
happy.
Some time has passed. I'm assuming like this is like after the shoot and everything. I'm assuming.
I guess, yeah.
Okay.
But now we're on to. You ready?
Okay, can I say this before we get into it?
Absolutely.
I absolutely despise what they've done to Aleksander's character in the last 3 episodes. It doesn't make any sense. It's disrespectful, and it's nothing of what you set up through the entire, like his entire presence in the season. Like it doesn't make any sense. And the way they broke up, forced.
Yeah.
I agree. Carrie, you mad weak. It was only 2 weeks and you that week? Fuck out of here. 2 weeks? You couldn't handle 2 weeks?
We'll get into the nitty gritty, but the bulk of it is she feels ignored because he's focused on the exhibit. I'm like,
2 weeks?
You mean his job he moved there for that is going to open soon and you can't wait to like
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
when I meet my imaginary future husband abroad in a couple months, I'm giving it at least 6 months before I start to be like,
come
maybe
on!
I fucked up.
Yeah. Well, my thing, okay, yeah. If we had opened up this episode and she had told me it had been like 3 months and these things were going on, okay, I can see you starting to, falter. The foundation getting a little crumbly. You're not really feeling it.
Seeing the cracks. Yeah,
you're seeing the cracks. 2 weeks. Let's get into
it. So when the episode opens, it's a rainy day in Paris for Carrie. Yep. She's been there 2 weeks, which she notes, and she's supposed to meet Aleksander and his ex-wife for lunch, which she calls very sophisticated French, because they're very like Aleksander and his ex-wife are still very friendly.
Yeah.
Which it's my understanding. I feel like they kind of imply that's like a French or European cultural thing. No, you can have nasty divorces no matter what. Yeah.
My thing is like, this is not like a red flag or anything, but to me it's like, okay, because it's different, right? Obviously they have a child together.
Yeah,
him and his ex-wife. So it's like at some point you were going to meet, but to me it's like that's the only time I should meet. Like if it's like your daughter's birthday or something like that, then I'll meet your ex. But like to have dinner, like why the fuck I gotta have dinner with this bitch? I don't even know her.
Yeah, I guess. Well, it gets awkward because her name's Juliet, and Carrie jokes, "Oh, I'm fashionably late," and you got to bring up that Juliet compliments Carrie's vintage bag that will come into play later. And Juliet's like, "Oh, we'll get along." She does accessories for fashion collections, and Carrie's like, "Oh, he never mentioned what you did." And Juliet kind of makes this face about it and takes a drink, but then gets a call from Aleksander that there's a crisis at the museum. And
what do you think the face was, by the way?
It ties into what they discuss next.
Okay, let's go for
it. And so he's not coming to lunch, and they make some small talk. It's not too bad, but it's not great either. But Juliet says,
before we continue, okay, maybe this makes me shallow, but I could not concentrate on this scene because of her fucking teeth. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
I noticed them too.
They were awful. Like I don't know if they were like done up that way to make it.
No, they're not. That's just European teeth, I think.
Oh God, that's not a good look. It's not a good look. I don't care.
They're just not as obsessed with like veneers the way we are, man.
Fine. Fine. You don't have to. I'm not asking you to have like these magically straight, picture perfect teeth. Fine, but like the yellowness and like this, like that it's like just like, did you ever brush them? Did you ever brush them? Because they didn't look like it. And she kept smiling, and then like, I couldn't do it. Took me out of the whole thing. Sorry.
So she's saying though that she did want to meet Carrie. He's told her, as soon as the exhibition opens, as soon as, is a very common phrase from him apparently. Yeah. And it's how he is. Carrie's like, oh, he's stressed, but she's like, I compliment the fact you're still in touch post-divorce. And Juliet's like, well, why not? We had a great marriage, but it just wasn't perfect. She couldn't get used to coming second to him all the time. And that's what the face is, I think, is because he didn't really acknowledge that she had her own career in life and stuff too. It's, he's the artiste, it's all him at the end of the day, Yeah, it's hard to tell. It seems to have been an ongoing issue for her.
Sure.
And led to the divorce and everything. Yeah. Juliet does offer Carrie a cigarette and she accepts, which I laughed super hard about because she's like, oh my God, finally.
I mean, listen, she had been in honestly, I didn't think she was gonna make it that long because like it was smoking all over that fucking city. And I was like, she's gonna have one eventually. She ain't gonna make it.
And Juliet does ask her Carrie what she does, and she's like, "Oh, I'm a writer. I've been published here in France." And she says he's comfortable with that basically, and she's like, "Yeah, he's been really supportive." And Juliet says, "Oh, people can change." So that's our first kind of major hint that maybe he's not as, I think, perfect, wonderful as Carrie thinks, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, but even when she was moving to Paris, he never told her that she had to stop writing or anything like that.
Yeah,
She wanted to
yeah.
continue writing. I mean, I think he was gonna be cool with it. Matter of fact, she probably should have kept writing. Maybe she would have, found herself busier.
She's the one who left the laptop behind.
Yeah.
The dramatic
Awesome.
shot.
I'll show Miranda shit.
Yeah.
I'll show her who's boss. Fucking. Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing when it comes to careers. It's like if you got two people who are like, I for lack of better words, I kind of hate this term, but like alphas in their careers, it's like
Yeah.
it's gonna start clashing because if you both are passionate about your careers and you're not gonna everybody you're both gonna be second. Like Aleksander was probably second to her in her career. Like that's probably why she's so successful. Like
Yeah.
it just happens. You know what I mean?
But I guess keep all that in mind for like the later scene.
Let's get it.
So Carrie meets him outside a bakery later and just have another cigarette. And she's like, "Hey, I'm smoking," and he's like, "Yeah, everyone smokes here. Whatever." It doesn't matter.
I've never been. Yeah, I've never been to Paris, so I don't know if that's true
It's
or
a
not. But
common stereotype. I don't think it's as common anymore. I think they've also clamped down on smoking because I'm sorry, it's not good for you. It's bad.
Yeah,
Don't
and
do
it
it.
stinks. Yeah.
It
Also,
stinks.
too, like
That's why your teeth. That's why her teeth were all yellow.
Yeah. Also, too, like 'cause as a former smoker, it was grossing me out to see them like smoking cigarettes and eating because like, oh man, let me tell you something. Cigarettes and food, it's not a good combination.
Yeah.
Cigarettes and coffee, great combination.
Yes,
Cigarettes and alcohol, fantastic combination.
Yeah.
But in food, no. It's so weird too because as a person that used to smoke too, man, it's like when it changes your taste buds, man. Like there's just certain things that just don't even. Oh man, it's so weird. It's just so weird. Like you get like things that taste better now than I quit smoking than I than before, and just like things that I used to enjoy when I did smoke is like, how was I eating this? It's just, it's awful. Anyway.
So he tells her that Juliet complimented her, and then he gets a call. It's like an emergency at the museum. And she's like, "Oh, it's been like that all week. Our morning together is cut short." And he's like, "Oh, as soon as the exhibit opens, it'll be better." And she's like, "Yeah, well, you say that, but I ended up having lunch with your ex-wife." And he kind of flirts his way out of like any real tension though in this moment.
By the way, do you think the ex-wife kind of got into Carrie's head a little
bit? Absolutely.
Okay.
Oh yeah, Carrie's super vulnerable because she she was there only like a week in the last episode, and she calls Miranda and is like, "I miss Big," because it's not going probably how she pictured it, and it's been a little weather hasn't been that great. It's wintry, it's cold, it's rainy, it sucks. It's not like Paris people tend to associate with spring, I think, a lot, and things like that.
That's fair.
So it just hasn't been like quite what it's cracked up to be, and he's been busy with this exhibit that he told her he was going to go open, and yet she is confused about why he will not hang out with her all the time.
She's just
that's what's driving me nuts. Now she's
so spoiled, man. She's so fucking spoiled.
I don't think people should not sublimate their careers and themselves to only serve a partner.
No,
but I think it's silly of her to not understand that this is like a crucial time. It'd be like her complaining that her husband is in surgery.
Yeah, well, it's also it's too fucking
and weeks. It's been 2 weeks.
Like, and then once the art exhibit opens, like he'll probably have free time all over the place because he'll have to do a little bit of press and stuff like that when it first opens and things of that nature. But it's like once all that's done, like after a week after it opens, he probably won't have to spend any time with it. Now people can just go see it and he can
go see it. Yeah.
Like
maybe she should have come later.
Not that critical.
She should have come closer to the opening.
Maybe that probably would have been better, instead of bringing her out there while he was working on it. That may have been the mistake.
Yeah.
And you were saying like not like he's going to surgery. That would be more because if he was like a surgeon or a cop or something like that, like he'd be out a lot more and more frequent than he is as an artist. An artist. Like again, he's probably got like a few more weeks till this thing opens, and then maybe like another week or two after that of hard work, and then you'll be done. Like, we're talking about a month and a half tops of you being a little bit lonely. Suck it the fuck up, my guy.
That's my theory, but
Anyway,
so he has to go, and she decides to go and explore the city. So she wanders around. She like eats at a restaurant, and there's like a gag with like a sad looking dog looking at her. She's out on the street, and the little girl like bops her on the head. That like
it was funny.
it was really funny. Just like
it was like hi smack.
Yeah.
That was hilarious.
That was really funny. She steps in dog shit, which sucks.
In red bottoms too, which
yeah.
Kind of your fault. Why are you walking around on cobblestone in red bottoms? You disrespectful.
Yeah, I was looking at like European fashion stuff.
Yeah,
like actual like Parisian like women aren't constantly in heels because they do walk everywhere.
There's no. The only women that are in heels is Carrie. That's the only woman that's walking around an entire metropolitan city in heels. No other woman's doing that.
Yeah,
no other woman's doing that.
It's so ridiculous.
They're wearing flats. They got some sneakers in the purse, and they're ready to go. Like, yeah, no.
So she does manage to like kind of wash it off at like some fountain thing, and then she like sits by the river and sees like a guy on a tour boat who randomly waves at her, and then she's all alone again.
I don't even know what the fuck that is.
I was trying to figure that out. I think it's like a lack, like it's she's struggling to connect with the city and people, and then it's a metaphor.
Sure.
It didn't work because it wasn't explicitly spelled out in a pun for me, so I didn't really get it.
Hey, listen, sometimes it's got to be spelled out in a pun. I'm not mad at that. You're not
wrong. Like back at the hotel, she's in bed, and Aleksander comes in. He says her name, and she kind of pretends to be asleep. Yeah, and here's the note I wrote that we just talked about. I was like, here's the thing: I get feeling abandoned, but at the same time, like, does she not get that he's launching a big exhibit? I don't think I would expect him to constantly tend to me. I would have planned a lot more like alone time at first, and then after the opening, I feel like you could be mad. Like if he keeps blowing you off. Like you said, like a few weeks after it's opened and he's done with press or whatever else he's got to do. Yeah. That said, his ex-wife though indicated like this is an ongoing thing. Like this happens a lot.
And I think that's what was getting in her head. I think she was like looking to the future and thinking like this is what it was gonna be. And like I think that wasn't cool of her to just assume that this is what it's gonna be like, because you also kids in, again, looking at the ex-wife too. It's like she has her own career or something like that, probably took up her time. So like it was like he was probably like working on his shit, and then like about to open it, he was probably busy, and then as soon as he was done with that, she was probably all busy. So they were probably always like not really on the same page.
And
so
it's hard, I don't, by any means, I don't condone like the genius tortured artist trope where you don't get to treat people like shit just because you're an artist. No. But if he is, sort of like we saw, he's told her he was busy creating basically in the few episodes back, but she brought the girls over anyway, and it was all awkward. And he still wasn't all that mean to her or them at the end of the day.
No, he was like, just enjoy the house, have a bottle of wine.
He's like, I'm right in the middle of this.
Yeah.
And I think that's something she's not prepared for either, because, all right, so he finishes this exhibit. He's a creative person. He's going to keep creating and creating art. And,
But I imagine he was going to take some time off. It's not like sure. Back to the next project,
But if she's looking down the pipeline, like the next couple of years, okay, she might lose him basically to the muse or whatever you want to call it, Sure. And I don't think she's prepared for that.
No, she's not.
So I did really good note that Carrie and her.
Well, also too, like if the guy's coming in trying to like trying to spend a little time with you, like while you're laying in bed, don't pretend to be asleep. If you're feeling like abandoned, like maybe enjoy the little bit of time that y'all have together.
Yeah.
Maybe don't act like spoiled brat. Be like, I'm sleepy. I'm tired. You weren't home all day, so I'm gonna pretend to be sleepy. I'm tired.
And that's it though. He's got he does have to eventually carve out time for her.
Yeah.
But
that's what I'm saying. I think after he opens the exhibit, it would be different. He seems like that the character that they presented seems like once he's got it all out the way and done, and he can kind of relax for a little bit. He seems like the kind of person that once he's done with a big project, he takes a very. I mean, because like they were saying, between his last exhibits, it was like years.
Yeah.
Between that, so I mean, I imagine he was probably gonna be like, let's fucking tour Europe together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like I said though, I don't think she can deal with that lack of attention. Basically,
it's 2 weeks. 2 fucking weeks.
Which again, kind of contradicts the best relationship you have is with yourself point, because if
that's a good Wait.
And I say this as
That's
someone who isn't dating an artist or an actor or whatever. Like,
sure, but
you know, I've swiped right on guys who are like, oh, they're like cameramen or music managers or whatever. Not that we've connected, but like in my head, I'm like, oh, I get you'll be traveling for work probably at points, or away or what have you, and so that's like, it's weird for someone who's in a creative field. She doesn't seem to get what creativity can like demand of somebody.
Well,
As far as like writing,
yeah. I mean, but her. She is a creative. She's in a creative field, but she's not creative on. She's not in the same way, because like it's not like she's like writing movies or like writing like novels or something like that. You know what I mean? So she doesn't. She's not. It's not like she. You know what I mean? Like it's.
But even then, like as
more
a
like just like a pop culture reporter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but even then, as like a reporter, like someone kind of journalism adjacent, like you're on deadline sometimes. You're pulled away. She's not a hard news by any stretch, but if you're in hard news, you get pulled away to deal with breaking news. I've had to deal with like breaking entertainment news where like my schedule gets fucked. Because
it's still different than what she
somebody
writes,
died or whatever.
It's still different. Like she's not. I mean, she's not in that world that deep. Is what I'm trying to say. She's like in the shallow end of the creativity, pool.
I suppose.
You know what I mean?
But somebody likes her stuff because she
sure.
She and her, as I noted, her stupid fluffy hat that she's wearing in this scene. They're the fucking hats, man.
I know. Only one in Paris wearing that shit.
Only one in Paris.
Yeah.
But she sees a bookstore and sees her book in the bookstore is translated in French, so she stops in to kind of check it out and just sort of like, that would actually be a great, I think, like language exercise for her to try to get a grasp of the language.
She remembers any of the book or any of the articles. Like she could definitely probably because her French was getting a little bit better.
She was getting there. She was, able to do like, order at a restaurant and talk and a little more and stuff like that. But the store clerk recognizes her and was like, "Oh my god, I love the book!" And she calls her friend over, and he loves it too. And he's like, she has the sex, I have the sex, we all have the sex. It's very cute. And they're just so both excited to meet her. And they're like, come, we'll have a party for you. Come to this party for you on such and such date and time and place. And so she's telling Aleksander about it. And, she's so excited and he's very happy for her too.
Yeah.
And she invites him. He's like, oh, I can't come. That's the night I'm unveiling the show to the museum curator. He's like, but go ahead and enjoy yourself. So, she's getting ready for her dinner party with them, and she goes to leave, but he's struggling with his cufflinks. He's basically having like an anxiety attack.
Yeah.
And she kind of calms him down, and he's like, I feel like I can't go. They're going to think I'm a silly old man with my like light things. It's, and she does the cufflinks for him, and he's like, will you go with me? She's like, I have a party. And he's like, I need you to come. I need you there so badly. And she's like, well, I don't have their number to kind of call them to tell them I can't make this. And he's sad. And that's when she agrees to go with him.
By the way, why wouldn't she get their numbers?
Because she's fucking dumb.
I mean, if I'm organizing something with somebody, I'm not just going to be like, oh, I'll meet you.
Yeah, the first thing I'd be is
I'm gonna get a number. It's like, well, we should get numbers just in case anything happens.
Yeah, I can't find the restaurant or something. You guys have to cancel something.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So he
By the way, and the fact that she was like, I kind of have this thing. Like, that's you're in a relationship. You can't just be like,
Yeah, see, this is like,
and this is the time you get to spend. Like, you would think she would hop on that. Like, wait, you want me to come? Oh, you want me to be there with you? Like, we can spend time together after all this time of not being able to spend time together. I get to be with you and watch you work. You would think she'd hop right on that. But you want to rather go to hang out with some random people who just because they worship you?
Ego, yeah. But I was gonna say, I think this is like the ego clash thing that his wife was kind of, or ex-wife was hinting at in the lunch that's been eating at her this whole time. And I get what the show is sort of saying. Or they're trying to like turn it so that he is not as supportive of her career, of what makes her her, and all these things. But
Yeah, but that's not the case. He's, you know what I mean? Like
yeah, but
it's just forced. It's forced. It's
yeah,
forced.
it does feel a little forced because he's never been that dismissive of her writing.
No.
He's always just sort of been like, he's been very, you do your thing, I do my thing.
Yeah.
But I think they're trying to paint him more as like the needy ego artist, that he needs the
Right.
support, and that's going to take away from who she is.
Yeah.
And, because she takes his hand. He's like, "I'll promise not to let go of my hand all night," and she's like, "Okay, I won't." But they get to the museum, they're still holding hands, and they walk in, and the curators are all excited though, and they applaud him, and they're raving, and he drops her hand and goes and gets swept into the crowd, leaving her alone again.
Yeah. So I mean, to be fair, he didn't really drop her hand. Like somebody shook their hand, they stuck their hand out to shake his hand, and he politely shook his hand out.
They were far apart, and he drops her. He does drop her hand.
No,
Not
the guy reaches no. The guy reaches his hand down first for a handshake, and then he lets go of her hand to shake the guy's hand. That's what, because the art guy comes up to him like all excited. So he wasn't like, "Get off me, bitch!" And like he wasn't like, ah. Like, now, to be fair, I gotta give him minus points because he did get swept up in the moment and like completely forgot about she was even fucking there. Yeah. So I can't really give him,
especially after begging her to come. And then the second he's validated there, he just leaves her behind.
He's like, "Yeah, bitch, I don't need you no more. See you later."
Yeah.
Like, yeah, dude, that was a dick move. That was a dick move.
Yeah,
I gotta give you that one. Yeah, not good.
And like, but part of me is like, when she sees he's comfortable, I feel like she could have left a lot sooner. I'm just saying.
Yeah, she should have been like, she could have.
Like, you're all good then. You're good. Things are good. Like, I'd love to stay. I will come and see the exhibit more when it's open. Yeah. I have a thing to go to.
Yeah. Or come and join us after you're done.
Yeah, something. Yeah. But she's stuck alone on a bench at the museum. She's fiddling through her purse for a cigarette. And I love that she goes to light up, and the security guard is like, "There's no smoking." And she's like, "Wow, the one place in Paris."
Yeah, she was smoking all over. Yeah.
Yeah.
Smoking everywhere.
But
I'm sure it's probably like that now. You probably can't smoke.
Oh, you probably can't smoke anywhere. Yeah. But she's messing with the purse, and she realizes there's a hole in the lining. It's a vintage Dior bag. You can repair that, but it's very delicate and hard to do. Yeah. But she feels something, and she digs for it. And that's when she finds her nameplate necklace. Are you getting this metaphor that she found herself?
She found herself.
She found herself, Chris, with the name necklace, with her name on it.
She found herself.
She found herself.
She was lost. She was lost for 2 weeks.
For 2 whole weeks.
Finally found it.
She found herself. I hope I get fucking lost in Ireland for 2 weeks and I forget to come back to work. I hope. Fun story. I am training on like a different shift than I've been training on, and the first day back is the Sunday, right? Like, I come back on a Saturday, and the next day I have to be at work, not till 11 a.m. So I got some time. I can sleep in a little, but that's all supposed to be my first day solo, kind of running that shift. I would not have scheduled me that way. Post vacation, but they did, and like, whatever, that's on them. If it fucking goes down, it goes down. But I'm not bringing the work phone or the work computer, so I will obviously I'll have my boss's numbers and stuff, like if something goes wrong and I'm not going to make it back into the country by the day I'm supposed to. But I'm not going to try to like work remote or be available to work remote.
Hell no.
But anyway, she finds herself with the necklace. She looks over and she realizes, he's completely forgotten about her, is not paying any attention. So she tries to tell the security guard to tell her that she's leaving, and she races out the door to go find the party. And as she's running through the city, there's a brief moment where a car containing Big stops, but they don't see each other.
No one cares. No one cares.
They're meant to be, or whatever. Whatever.
Let's continue.
moving
forward.
Moving swiftly along. Carrie does get a taxi. She gets to the restaurant where her party was supposed to be, and they're all gone. They're all done, and all that's left is a wine-stained copy of her book.
I'm actually surprised because it's like Europeans like to have a good time. Like I'm surprised that party didn't last
Yeah.
longer. Like maybe I mean I'm surprised she didn't at least like catch the tail end of it. Like maybe as they were about to leave, but like usually if it's like a dinner part, like a party, like they would be
Yeah.
waiting. You know what I mean? Like and honestly, because I don't know how long does she sit there sulking,
Yeah.
worried about Aleksander. Like because if it was like an hour, they probably expected her to be a little bit late.
Yeah.
You would
Yeah.
think that if they view her as a celebrity, they probably just think like she probably, is going to be a little late if she does even come. So you would think they would wait there just a little bit longer, but maybe not.
Yeah. Oh, and one real quick, I'm poking fun at the necklace, but the costume choice, her outfit choice for these final scenes in Paris, she's in a very tutu ballerina inspired look, which is obviously very reminiscent of the opening credits when she wears the tutu and top and gets splashed by the bus. But anyway, just wanted to point that out. Yeah. Full circle moment. So back at the hotel, Carrie finds Aleksander. He's already there, and she's like, the party was over, and he's like, oh, I'm sorry. And she's like, how could you abandon me when I gave up the party? And he's like, let's not do this right now. And she's like, hey, I'm in this relationship too. Do you have any idea what it's been like for me here? 2 weeks.
Listen, she's not wrong. Listen, I can understand her being a little bit more upset with the way he did abandon her. I'm not mad at that. But 2 weeks, man, you all right. You relax.
Yeah.
Because he didn't even make it seem like, oh yeah, he didn't make, because like he never made it seem like he wasn't going to be busy. He's like, look, because even before she left, he's like, once this thing opens, I'm, and I have time, we'll hang out, stuff like that. But he's like, but before that, I will be busy.
I just don't get why she doesn't understand that he's working, and I know work shouldn't be life, but this is different. This is,
it's a short, not short, but just like, it's a brief moment in the entire, like if you count the years that they could be together, you're talking like a few weeks to a month, couple months at a time, where like he's gonna be wrapped up in some things, but like it's not like I said, his last exhibit was years, not months, and again, years apart.
I'm sorry, I would find so much to entertain myself with in a new
You're city. In Paris.
I'm in Paris, for Christ's sake.
Take a train. You could go to fucking different countries.
You could go to Normandy. You could go to another country if you want to in Paris. Yes. There's a million.
So much to do.
Things to do. So again, this contradicts that final moment of the relationship with yourself as the most important one, because the relationship with herself sucks if she can't be comfortable on her own for 2 weeks. Anyway, she complains she's been eating alone, and my boyfriend would rather spend time with his light installation, which I wrote, that's his job. It's like again, you're like, oh, you'd rather spend time with your hands knee deep in heart cavities.
I'd have been like, bitch, look around you. Me being this dedicated is the reason why you're in this nice ass fucking suite. I'm the reason that I can pay for your apartment while you're living here in Paris with me. Like, yes, I'm focused. You're welcome.
And he does say, he's like, that's what I do, that's what I am. You knew this.
Yeah.
And Carrie's like, I had a life in New York and I didn't give all that up to wander Paris alone for 2 weeks. Again, if this was 6 months in and he's ignoring her this whole time, yes, I think she's got a better argument, and she has some legs with this evening alone.
Yeah, sure.
But still.
Yeah.
Still,
it's not that strong of a leg to stand on.
No, it's wobbly.
It's very wobbly.
So, he's like, I'm gonna go take a shower. We'll talk as soon as. And she's like, no, you're always saying as soon as. And he's walking away, and he says, and she's walking up right behind him. And he says, Carrie, please. And he waves his arm up, and she kind of walks into his hand, like he kind of unintentionally backhands her.
Yeah. I
don't think he did not like crack her one.
No, I don't understand where that came from.
I don't know why they had to basically add this physical element into this argument. It's very. I know he's a lycanthrope, as we declared last episode. Well, it's and he doesn't understand his own strength.
He was transforming.
He's transforming right there.
Full moon in Paris. He's like,
he's like,
run away. I can't hold it back.
I can't hold it. The American Werewolf in Paris joke, everybody.
Oh my god!
Listen to last episode for context.
Yes. It's because okay. the only thing I can I feel like the reason why this happens is like the writers are trying to make him seem so
So
awful that when
awful.
they break
Yes.
up, you're kind of happy that they break up. But it's
Yes.
like, again, it doesn't make any sense and it's very forced.
I would have been happy if she had broken up with him on the basis of I gave up my life to be here. You're
Fine.
not paying attention to me, and I don't like it, and it's not what I thought it would be. This relationship isn't what I thought it would be. And because she does, go on to say, he apologizes and she's like, and he's like, I thought I was clear all along about who I was and
Right.
what this is. And she's like, well, let me be clear about who I am. I'm looking for love, all consuming love. Basically someone to pay attention to her nonstop 24/7.
Right. Worship me.
Worship me. And she's like, I don't think that love is here. All that could have happened and been said without him hitting her.
Right. Yeah. That was it was added in for no reason. I mean, honestly, I think it was, if anything, if for less stakes too, it's like it was added in just for the gag that happens later.
Exactly. I think it is 100% added in for the gag with Big, which we'll get to in like just a moment.
Yeah.
Because, it's just, he's never been physical with her. No. And I guess they're kind of trying to hint that this might be like, I feel like they've maybe in a way tried to hint that it's sort of, if not abusive, manipulative, because Miranda in the one episode or 2 episodes ago is like, she's not herself with him, she's different, which happens when people get drawn into genuinely abusive relationships or controlling relationships and things like that.
None of those things.
But I don't think that's this. I mean, if you're going down that route, you could 100% argue that her being invited to a party for her threatens his kind of narcissism, ego abuse thing, and that's why he begs her and goads her into coming to the exhibit. And then as soon as he's there and everything's fine, he ignores her. There is an argument to be made there.
Sure.
It's not unfounded.
It's a stretch.
There's not enough other. She's, and I guess you could go back a little further and argue he's been love bombing her this whole time too, with like the fabulous offers of all this, that, and the other thing, and kind of taking her. He does take her away from her. The argument can be made it's an abusive, controlling relationship in some ways. Because now
I'll give you that. In that context. It can be made. It can be made.
It absolutely can.
It can be made.
But at the same time, I don't. The physical thing is like a weird step too far.
That was too much.
I don't know.
You already kind of made us hate him with the whole thing at the exhibit, with the curator and stuff.
And even the episode prior, he's been kind of ignoring her.
Yeah, fine.
And not around so much. So she says that that love that she's looking for isn't here with him, and she's like, it's not your fault, I shouldn't have come here. And he kind of tries to talk to her, and she's like, it's fine, I'm leaving. And she does walk back in and give him one last goodbye kiss and say thank you.
Yeah.
See, the abuse, if he was truly abusive, he would have like really like worked her over, been like, no, you can't leave.
Yeah.
And she's at least strong enough to like realize this isn't gonna work. And
but he wasn't like begging her like, oh please, not like a manipulator would be like trying to figure out ways, or he'd be like insulting her like, yeah, go on and you're gonna be nothing, stuff like that. Like he didn't say anything there. He was just like, all right.
Or like, if you leave, you're never coming back.
Right. None of that shit. No ultimately or nothing like that. He was like, all right, you want to leave? I respect your decision, and this was fun.
The arguments for him being abusive, the love bombing and kind of isolating her, and they're there. But I don't think the show's equipped for that level of like
no.
What it could be.
Yeah. I mean, literally, they make a mockery out of her getting like slapped. So this episode is not. Or it's not an episode. This whole series is not equipped for that kind of that topic. No, they're not.
So, she's down at the front desk trying to kind of explain in English and French why she needs like her own room.
Yeah.
And I heard the diamond necklace he gave her broke when he cracked her one, I guess.
No, well, he was trying to like console her, and like his thumb touched it or something.
I think it's a delicate chain probably. So like when he kind of like made impact I think his hand got caught on it or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's been like, the diamonds and stuff have kind of been down her top. So, she's like, I need a single room. And he's like, I only have double rooms. And she's like, I'm single and that's fine. And so she's picking up these little diamonds though out of her dress. And she's crouched over on the floor. And then who should walk in? But one Mr. Big.
Yeah.
And the second she sees him, she bursts into tears. And she's like, Paris was a mess. I never should have come. Everything fell apart. We had a fight and I got slapped. And he's all mad. He is all Mr. Man. Gonna
First of all,
kick his ass.
First of all, it was funny too because he's like, I'm going up there to kick his ass. And she was kind of like, what? Yeah. At the end of the day, she's like, are you serious? Because I think she remembered the fight that him and Aiden had. That was weak. That was not a fight.
You're middle-aged. And I'm sorry. I know he is much bigger than Aleksander.
Sure. Aleksander will beat the shit out of him.
No chance.
Again, Aleksander would whoop his
werewolf strength or no. Aleksander's just whooping Big's ass.
Oh, first of all, he's an athletic Russian. That's it.
It's over.
Those two things right there, you have no chance, Mr. Knopf. Okay?
Yeah. Ain't happening.
Ain't happening. You getting worked over.
You think you got the drop on this guy just because he's like a couple inches shorter than you? Nuh-uh.
No.
Nuh-uh.
It wouldn't even just be like an ass whooping. He'd probably be like, look, I don't want to hurt you while whooping your ass. Stop doing as you're trying to attack him, he just just whooping your ass, defending himself. That's how bad he would be whooping his ass. No, you ain't hurting nobody.
So Big races up the stairs and Carrie's trying to stop him and explain the whole time. She's like, the slap's not what you think.
Yeah. Why she even say slap? Honestly, it wasn't that big deal. Why'd you even say I got slapped? You know what I mean? That's
I guess you're just upset and it's just like the cherry on top of a bunch of bad shit.
Yeah. That's fair.
She's like, I don't need you to rescue me. And before they get to the room, she manages to full on trip him and they both fall down laughing.
Yeah.
And then they go outside, and like you said, he jokes. He's like, well, most people come to Paris to fall in love. You came and got slapped. They think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
So,
if she was in some kind of abusive relationship, she sure is laughing it the fuck off.
Yeah.
Disassociate much?
Yeah.
But is he really that fucked up? Jesus.
Yeah.
In 2 weeks of not seeing you, he manipulated you that bad?
Right?
Come on.
It's a way deeper conversation, and that's
what I'm saying. You can make the argument, but it just doesn't hold enough water for it to be established. You know what I mean? It was simply they added that in to make you hate him just a little bit more. So when Big shows up, you wouldn't be like, "Oh, this doesn't make sense." It's he's coming to rescue her from the big bad Russian,
big bad werewolf Russian. Yeah.
The werewolf is ours, okay? That's not the creator of the show. That's our input. You can't don't put the werewolf. Don't put it on it.
Yes. So she asks, why is that funny? And she's laughing about it. And it's cold out. He gives her his coat, and she's like, how did you get here? And he's like, it took a really long time, but I'm here, and Carrie, you're the one. And they kiss. And I wrote it would be very romantic if Big wasn't the worst.
Again, that's what I'm saying. I wanted to feel for this scene. I know it's supposed to be a big scene, and I'm supposed to be happy about this, but I just felt, nothing. I was numb. I was I don't even care. I honestly don't care.
If you're gonna make the argument that Aleksander is abusive or manipulative or bad, Big is not that much of a better
he's not the alternative.
option.
Yeah, he's not a better alternative. It's not even much better. He's not at all. If anything, he's worse. At least Aleksander was if he was a manipulator, was a subtle manipulator. Big was just an absolute train wreck of a manipulator with what he did to her. He literally
pick her up and drop her at whim, and knew he could do that. And
fucked
did
up
it to
all
her
relationships
by
kept showing up. Show up, have sex with her. She'd break up with whoever she was with, or fuck up that relationship to get with him. And he'd be like, "Actually, I'm good. Appreciate it."
Yeah. It's strange.
So that's what I'm saying. Right. So it's if you're trying to say that Aleksander was a manipulator,
she's literally running back into the arms
to a manipulator,
another manipulator. Yeah.
Matter of fact, because this last episode, he tried to manipulate her again by showing up last minute and being like, "Hey, why don't you get back with me before you go to Paris?"
Exactly. Like,
so, again, I don't understand why they're trying to make it. Like, that's why it doesn't make sense, because like the person that they set up through this entire season as Aleksander until like the last 3 episodes don't fucking match. They just don't match. I don't really understand where they came from. It's like out of left field. All of a sudden, he's just like this awful person.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, I don't know.
Well, first he was too into her and too romantic, and now he's not. And
I
don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Carrie says, "I miss New York. Take me home," and they stroll away.
Yeah.
And then they pull up to her apartment in his town car, and she gets out, and he goes, the Four Seasons, I don't live here anymore. The Four Seasons doesn't check you in till 1. Carrie's like, "Oh, do you want to come up?" And he says, "Abso-fucking-lutely," which I knew that was a callback to the pilot, which in the pilot she says, "Have you ever been in love?" And he says, "Abso-fucking-lutely." And that was only the freeze frame end of the pilot, and his town car drives away. But he's gonna come upstairs with her. I think he's only been to her apartment like a handful of times, to be honest.
Which again, I don't know what to say, how they take so much love.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And then the other girls are at brunch. Carrie enters, they all scream. It's a nice little reunion. And then Carrie's pondering relationships. She's like, the ones that open you up, the familiar, the ones that make you question things, the ones that bring you to unexpected places. And we're getting like a montage of kind of where everybody is. Charlotte and Harry are with the doggies, waiting the baby. I should have just given her the baby. But I guess I didn't want people to cry out of joy.
Yeah. I mean, I would have been all over the place. Like,
the unexpected places and far from where you started. We kind of see Miranda with Steve and like this family life she'd never pictured / wanted.
That's the big / wanted. Yeah.
Yikes. Anyway, and then the ones that bring you back, and that's where we see Samantha orgasming with the flowers in full bloom. And then we get this line that I kept harping on this whole time, which is, the most exciting and challenging significant relationship is the one that you have with yourself.
Right.
Very true. Yes. And yet the one she has with herself is in shambles.
Garbage. It's garbage. And also, you can't really end up like, the best relationship to have is the one with yourself if you still just end up with somebody.
And you end up with like hands down the worst person for you, who's been nothing but toxic to you this entire time.
Yeah, not only did you end up with something, like if she just left him on the bridge and just went back to New York on her own and just like met the girls, I'd be like, all right.
I would have been like,
true growth.
She's still, bummer, she's still single, but you know what? She found herself. She found the fucking nameplate necklace. She's Carrie again, and she's gonna go out in the world, and she will find that love. She's gonna do it right. Yeah. Way better.
And it would have made more sense than just like, her being into together. It was just like I said, it was just forced. It was like there was nothing that led to that, honestly.
Yeah, he is not this great love of her life. He's been awful to her. So much.
If it was like an aiding back and forth thing where he was like, I could understand that. You know what I mean? Like I could understand like if Aiden came back and was like, hey, I miss you, maybe. But
Aiden could take Aleksander. No, actually he's sacrificing too. That beanpole's going down.
Yeah.
One crack from Aleksander and he's on the ground.
On paper, Aiden should beat the shit out of Aleksander, but we saw him fight Big, and neither one of them know what the fuck they're doing.
And he's even taller than Big.
Yeah, and those guys too.
Yeah, and in shape. Big's not in shape.
Yeah,
and they still sucked at fighting. Anyway.
Yeah. Aleksander would probably beat them both at the same time. Yeah, honestly, low key.
But the Carrie's never been like working on the relationship with herself to be comfortable to be alone, which is like one of the most significant things you can manage and have under control before you find a partner.
Yeah,
or between partners or whatever.
Right.
Like that's really important. And something that I think I'm pretty good at. So that's why I'm like, oh, you get a man already. Goddamn.
Yeah. I feel you.
So it's just
Hilarious.
the whole nature that she couldn't, I'm sorry, if you were comfortable with yourself, you would have been like, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot I even came to Paris with another person.
Right.
You want me to what? You want me to come to your exhibit? Oh,
Yeah.
sure. I've been in Versailles for 2 days and living
Right.
it the fuck up. And I went to Bordeaux and Normandy and, a million other places. And Paris is a huge city. You can't have seen all of Paris in 2
There's
weeks.
no fucking way. There's no fucking
no
way. Even if you go out every day, you only seen a quarter of that shit.
Everyone got mad at me on my Facebook travel group when I have like this aggressive like new stop in Ireland every day, and I have people telling me like, you're never gonna see half the things you're thinking. Not true. I'll be fine. Or I change my plans and do whatever.
Yeah.
Anywho, yeah. So it's just the whole like, Well, then her phone rings after she says that line, and we see Big's real name finally. Were you ready for it?
John? Fucking John? John?
Call him J-Dog.
The most generic white name on the fucking planet? John?
Right? Like, come on.
John.
I would have been less mad if it was.
They deserve each other.
Michael
she looks like she
something.
would end up with a. She deserves to end up with a John. That's exactly what she deserves, is a John.
Yeah, it's
get
wild.
out of here. Ugh.
Now, I know you know what happens in the revival series.
Yes.
So hands down, the weirdest part is when he dies and she runs in and she's yelling John at him. It's so disorienting because you're so used to her calling him Big.
Because even after that, they probably, even like in the movies and like that.
He's constantly called Big.
Yeah.
I think there's a few scenes in the movie where she like says his name or whatnot.
Yeah.
But not many. He's still very much Big, and so like when he's like dying in the thing, she like finds mid heart attack or whatever. And she's screaming John at him. I'm like, why aren't you calling him Big? He's not gonna respond to John. He's dying.
Hilarious. Probably. Yeah. That's weird.
The other funny thing is, my mom didn't have HBO at the time, and I think she did watch it, but I told her about it because she saw the headlines. She's like, well, was it funny like when she got dumped by the Post-it note? And I went, actually, no, it was kind of sad.
Oh, no. Post-it note was pretty sad. I ain't gonna lie. I was like, that's mean. Savage. I mean, here's the thing. Listen. At the end of the day, fucked up. But if anybody deserved to have a breakup like that, it happened to the right person. That's all.
Well, speaking of deserve each other, the very last line is, if you find someone to love the you that you love, well, that's just fabulous. Okay, but you don't love you because you couldn't spend 2 weeks in Paris without your boyfriend giving you all the attention in the world.
No. I think that's why she does love herself so much, that the fact that he wasn't giving her attention was why she was like, I gotta get out of here.
Fair enough.
Because now Big is finally to the point where he's kind of like worshiping her now.
Yeah. Chased her halfway around the world.
Yeah, he chased her all the way to fucking from New York to Paris just to get back with her. So like that's what she's looking for, somebody that's gonna like do that. Because Aleksander, dude, if Aleksander wanted her back, he'd be like, I'll send a letter, bitch. Like I ain't gonna fly in 14 hours.
Horse-drawn sleigh and a Fabergé egg. I'll see you.
Yeah. Like I ain't about to get on no flight to come get you.
So,
you ain't that cool. Yeah.
So she's happily stressed down the street because she's talking to John on the phone. They say his full name in the movie, by the way. Are you ready for his full name? Or do you want to be surprised?
I'll be surprised. I want to see.
Okay.
I want to see the surprise. I want to be surprised. Yeah, save it. I'm already mad at John, so I want my reaction to be authentic when I hear it.
Yeah. So I did read a little trivia for this episode. The creator, I think Michael Patrick King, said the street she's walking down is supposedly like the one she is in the opening credits of the show, where she gets splashed by the bus and everything, because it's sort of supposed to be like a full circle thing, and she's like walking a different direction than in the credits, indicating like she's come full circle on her journey for love. Not true. Anyway, respectfully, no.
It's like, I mean, I feel what you're trying to do, but wrong.
respectfully wrong.
Yeah.
Also, the coat, she's wearing like her kind of ratty looking fur coat that she had in the first season. So she's kind of, I don't know why she'd want to be back at square one in season 1. That's when things were bad. I mean, I guess not as bad because she was kind of enjoying her.
I mean, she honestly was a little bit better in season 1 than she has in the entire series. I think she was more stable, at least. I gotta lie. Yeah. As a character.
And so that's the trivia. Actually, I forgot to mention this last time I was looking at trivia for the other episode, and apparently the late Senator John McCain was a huge fan and talked to the creator about it, and he was like, "Oh, do you watch it with like your wife and daughter?" He's like, "No, I just watch it by myself." So John McCain was, I politically didn't fully agree with John McCain, but I have a lot of respect and admiration for John McCain in the long run. I think he was a good dude, more or less, as far as politicians go. But funny that he's a huge fan, or was at the time, apparently.
Interesting.
But that's the whole series. We did it. Yeah, we made it.
We made it.
We started this late 2020, and we're just finished. It's just a little over 2 years that we.
And it's our 100th episode.
And it's our 100th episode. I have an important.
You'd be going into syndication right now.
I know, right? They don't do those checks no more. Oh my god, though.
No.
That's why they're gonna strike. Everybody, beware! Writer strike is coming.
Yeah.
Stockpile your money and your entertainment now, because they're going on strike. Rightfully so. It's complicated. Look it up. I have an important question for you. And all the times we watched this episode.
Yes.
Did you sit through the credits every time, or did you skip them? No, you skipped them.
Nope. Oh, you mean like the opening credits?
Opening credits, yeah.
Actually, I watched the entire opening of this episode.
But did you watch them for every? This is like almost 100 episodes.
For every episode?
Yeah. Did you watch the opening credits with that tinkling music and her getting splashed?
Oh no! Oh no!
You hit skip intro?
Hell yeah, I did.
How dare you?
Yeah, I did. Absolutely, I did.
All your opinions
every single time. I would say
invalidated.
I probably watched the opening credits a total of less than 10 times. I'm not gonna lie. Wow. I think when we first started watching, I was watching like the opening credits.
It really invalidates literally everything you've just said. I don't think
so. I'm gonna go with negative on that one.
So what are your final thoughts on the series? What did you think?
Hated the ending. Mm-hmm. Except for Samantha's ending and Charlotte's ending. Miranda's ending, good for her, but not really authentic. And then Carrie's ending is just like, whatever. Like, y'all just forced that on us. Y'all didn't really do it justice to her as a character. I think my personal opinion is if she if like a bigot showed up and she was like, thanks, but no thanks, and then went home back to the girls by herself, I would have fucked with that ending.
Yes, I would
have fucked with that heavily. I'd be like, all right, cool. She actually really did. She does want better for herself. But to go with him is like, you're still the same person. You didn't really grow.
Yeah. And
I don't really understand how that's supposed to be full circle because you didn't grow. So, it is what it is.
I think I agree. And, and I'm glad I've rewatched it now and reevaluated so much, really, frankly, of the Samantha character. Mm-hmm. And she's getting, seeing like little bits of it here and there, like on TikTok and a few other places that like, no, she, as we've said 100 times, was the best character. She was the best friend. Mm-hmm. Or maybe not the best character. But she had growth. The best character,
but she was the best friend.
She was truly the best friend. For as much as they're like, this show was about female friendship and finding love, and you and your friends do in the city to find love.
Yeah, they
slut shame her. They treat her like she's crazy, basically. But she was the realest one, the kindest one, the most generous. Like she always supportive with time. Money, what have you.
Well, here's like, and she not only was she supportive, she was also that friend that told you what the fuck you needed to hear.
Yes.
You needed to hear. Like she would never front any of her friends out in front of public, but as soon as they look, like if something happened on the street or whatever, and somebody was like talking shit, she'd be like, I got your back. But as soon as if they were wrong when they got behind closed doors, like, look, you kind of fucked up, but I had your back. Just so you know. this ain't right.
Like
And
the
she did that
whole,
plenty of times.
yeah, you know, Carrie cheating. She
Yeah.
didn't give
Yeah, she
her.
wasn't there when Carrie cheated on Aiden with Big. She was like, bitch, are you serious?
Yeah.
Like, that ain't what she's supposed to do. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
even though she wasn't about relationships and stuff like that, especially at that time, like she was definitely not about it. But she could still recognize that Aiden was a good dude and did deserve to be cheated on, especially with a piece
Yeah.
of shit like Big.
Big. Yeah.
And on top of that, she was the one that was still like, when he showed up again in his final series, when he was like, I want to go get her. She was like, I don't fucking think so.
Yeah. I
Not
think the
my
fuck
Carrie.
not. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, she's the best.
And also, I'm glad it gave me a chance to reevaluate Charlotte, because I get Charlotte's always portrayed as like the prissy, uptight one, which she is. She's uptight,
Sure.
but you know what? In those beginning seasons, she is with so many freaky dudes. She's taking her chances and her shots,
And she opens up as the
and
series.
she opens up. Yeah,
as the series goes
she,
on. So
they pick. She gets picked on, in analysis and by viewers and stuff for like having that vision of like the Trey life that she was supposed to have, or thought she was supposed to have.
Sure.
But then she opens up, she converts for someone that she falls in love with, and that's a huge life change. She really kind of gives of herself in a way I think people don't acknowledge.
Yeah, I think so too.
They're like, oh, she's a waspy Park Avenue princess, and she's no fun. She's too conservative, whatever. No. I'm like, nah, she's got a little wild side to her that she
does.
She found a balance and match for in the end.
Yep.
Also interesting to reevaluate Miranda. Because again, we were told for so long, Miranda's the one you want to be. You want to be Miranda. She's got the career and she makes the family and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think she would have been so much happier, no offense to baby Brady or Steve, if they weren't in her life. If she was single or with a different person than Steve in the long run. I feel it. And
and she'd end up with Robert.
Or something, or who knows?
Well, I mean, I think it would have been the same thing, honestly. Like, I think she would have fucked that relationship up too.
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, she did, right? So.
Yeah.
You already saw that.
Carrie, I've always never been that hot on Carrie in the long run. She's too messy for me.
Listen. This is my first time watching this, and I'm also looking at it with 2022, 2021 hindsight, 2020 hindsight. So it's a little bit different. I don't know how I would have felt about Carrie if I had watched the show when it was around. It's very much a show of its era. So there's a lot of nuance in the discussion. However, I still don't understand how anybody would like, oh, I'm such a Carrie. Why? You're awful if you're a Carrie. Sorry.
We were told she's the lead and she has the most fabulous life, even though
listen, I love How I Met Your Mother, but Ted was the worst character. So and I'm talking about, and I felt that way while watching the show. I didn't like it.
Not hindsight.
You know what I'm saying? So no, there's no hindsight like it. But even if I go back and watch it now, I'm like, yeah, he's still the worst. So I don't get how anybody would want to be a Carrie. It's not okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's now I can't wait to watch the movie with you.
Oh, I'm gonna rip this part. I'm gonna rip it apart. I hope you're not trying to enjoy the movie, because I'm going to be talking a lot of shit.
We're here to give it the old Mystery Science Theater 3000 treatment, baby.
Okay.
Yeah, because the story in theory ends here, but not really, because there's 2 movies technically, but really less said about the second one the better.
All right.
And then the revival. Oh, the thing I was gonna say though with Miranda's character, is it would have been, I think, long term more interesting, sort of like with Carrie, we were saying, if she didn't go this traditional route. But I don't think the show was prepared to do that at the time, because it was such a the society was still very like, you must be in a relationship to be a like successful woman, a fully rounded woman. You'll find the relationship that works for you, but you must have one. And now we're kind of seeing a little more in pop culture. Probably one of the best examples that's undersung is that How to Be Single movie, where Dakota Johnson's character at the end is dated and everything like that, and doesn't end up in a relationship at the end of the movie, even though she's very hung up on like a college boyfriend, is dating other people, and this, that, and the other thing. I really enjoyed that the final moments of that were like, that was truly living up to the like the most important relationship you have is with yourself.
Yeah, at the end of that movie, she was like, I don't need to be with anybody else right now. I need to figure myself out.
Me. Yeah.
I need to be with me right now. Yeah. And it was like it wasn't like in a way of saying that to like cope with any kind of like, it was like, no, I'm not good for anybody right now.
Yeah. So I need to figure out me. And that's what, the final monologue here tried to claim it did the whole time, but not really, because
not so much.
They were all upset. Well, with the Samantha accepted, they were otherwise all obsessed with like being single is the worst. Being single is a godforsaken hellscape, which you will crumble to dust after age 35 if you aren't with a man. Your life is over. You will fall from a multi-story building because you're 40 and still trying to like live it up.
Well, that might happen if you're doing that, but if you're still doing cocaine at a party at 40,
fairness,
you might fall.
She was doing cocaine, so that's
you might actually, getting drunk and doing cocaine at 40, you might fall out a window.
You might fall out a window.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I that was just what this like. And actually, even more recently than the How to Be Single movie, the show Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, I think, did a good job with the sort of working on yourself angle of things. Because spoiler, if you haven't seen the show, it's fine. It's really good. I
heard it was great, but I've seen it. I'm still CW shows are like, all right.
Yeah, the final season, she's dated 3 guys, and it comes down to like which of these 3 guys will be the one for her. And then you get to the final episode, and there's like a time jump and stuff, and it's like, no, the guys aren't what matters. It's what matters is her finding herself. And now you get a little hint that she might end up with like one of them, but that's not the focus. Is the last episode, all the songs you saw, the whole thing were like obviously in her head mostly. Was part of the gag.
Yeah.
But her realizing that's what she likes to do. That's what makes her is being creative and finding, fulfillment and therapy and whatnot through these songs that she kind of goes to in her head. And then she focuses on becoming a singer-songwriter as like a new career thing. Okay. And a new kind of life's passion. She'd been a lawyer. She tried to be a small business owner, all this other stuff, all while still being very guy focused. And this is sort of the first time she goes in her head, basically, and realizes, oh, this is what I am, is this creative person. I was happiest when she was happiest when she was doing theater and being musical and all these other things. And so the series ends with her presenting her. You don't hear the final song, of course, but
sure.
The point is she does it, and like that's a better. I think Carrie could have done that.
Yeah, she ain't strong enough for that. She couldn't handle 2 weeks, so we already know
she could handle 2 goddamn weeks in Paris.
2 weeks.
The crimes I would commit to go abroad for 2 weeks, for all expenses paid.
All expenses paid. You ain't gotta worry about nothing. Like nothing.
You don't have to worry about
no food, no where you're staying.
You don't even have to worry about renting a car.
Nothing.
Learn to drive on the other side of the road, just gonna get that taken care of for you. I mean, I technically could have done that. I didn't have to rent the car, but I wanted to.
Yeah,
anyway,
it'll be fun. It'll be fun. Cool.
So yes, that's the series. So as we alluded, we are going to take a bit of a break.
Yes.
Between now and the next series, TBD, and even post break, but before we start the new series or sometime in there, we are planning to watch the movies together in the same room, maybe live stream it or something like that, where you can play along at home with us, hopefully, if you're watching or listening. We have to figure out the technical aspect of that. We've never done it.
Yes.
probably pretty easy to figure out, but you know, we also just need a break because we've been doing this for over 2 years.
Yeah.
With full-time jobs and life and
Yeah.
all sorts, and need just a little break.
Yeah.
But we'll be back.
Yes. We'll be bringing y'all something very soon.
And in the meantime, you can always check out the show and our episodes at Show Me What Podcast on Instagram. We'll take you to Twitter, Facebook, and here on YouTube, where we have 304 subscribers. Thank you so much. We love you.
Yeah. Yes.
Call your friends. Tell them to give us a listen. It'll be good times.
Let's make it 3,004.
Let's make it 3,004. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you can find me in the meantime on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Elizabeth Movies. And Chris, where can they find you in the meantime?
You can find me on all socials medias at Christopher T. Mack, just like it says on the screen, if you can see that. And
in the meantime, while you're taking a break from us, or we're taking a break from you, or both, whatever, you know, we were on a break. What you can do is go to Arlo Australia Candles. Sorry. You can go to Arlo Australia Candles, use promo code ShowMeMiss, get 10% off. We're coming to spring, lovely time for candles. Yeah. Nice spring scents, I'm sure, on the horizon, or just the classics are there too. I'm still obsessed with the citrus one I have. Fire. And that's it for now. We have, you know, that's gonna be it. See, no, I don't want to hear it. I don't want it anymore. And Elizabeth does drugs, everybody. That's what that got her to stop. All right. Woo! Take it easy out there, everybody. See ya.